Live from the Georgia Dome, it's the GHSA AA semifinal featuring Greater Atlanta Christian and Early County. And good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Georgia Dome. I'm Jim Giannacchio, along with my broadcast partner, Mark Lassiter from Clark Atlanta, the football analyst for Clark Atlanta. And I'll tell you what, Mark, this is going to be quite a high-powered offensive game between the Spartans and the Bobcats.
Let's go ahead and tag this one. You got to have heart, because both these rosters come in with teams that feature two-way players. The key to this game, Jim, the team that wins time of possession will be the team that wins this afternoon.
All right, the teams left in the semifinals. These, of course, are the only two left, Greater Atlanta Christian and Early County. The winner of this one will play Buford in the championship game next weekend. Of course, the Wolves beat Americus yesterday 38-12. Now, back to Greater Atlanta Christian. They have had an awesome season, and I said earlier, a high-powered offense, and there's your numbers.
This is a run-heavy team. They love to grind it out behind the big running attack. We'll talk about the feature backs. They don't put it up unless they have to.
And speaking of the feature back, who else but number 3, Micah Andrews?
There are a lot of players that would like to be like Micah. He combines that rare combination of instinctive cuts and spins, and he's a strong runner.
And, of course, he's the son of former Atlanta Falcon William Andrews. Earlier we had a chance to talk to GAC coach Jimmy Chell.
Oh, goodness. I think our offensive plan is, number one, is to move the chains, and so whatever it takes to move the chains. Our plan is to try to take what they give us, and we think we've got enough plays, enough options, enough weapons that we can try to find somewhere to run the ball, and also somewhere to do some play action and to throw the ball. So we're hoping that we can do that, but we're playing against a great Early County team, and you know, we're hopeful offensively that we can make the ball, that we can move the chains. We've got hopefully Micah can find a little place to go, and then we can do some play action. And you know, sometimes we just like to give the ball to Micah, and then we like to fake the ball to Micah and throw the ball. So that's usually what we try to do, is try to be as balanced as we can on offense.
All right, now on the other side of the ball, Early County. Good news, bad news. Good news for Early County, Americus is out of the playoffs. They lost 3 times from the last 2 years. The bad news is they face GAC.
Exactly, and GAC is going to present an interesting challenge because of that running attack.
All right, now here's the numbers on the season for Early County, and some pretty high-powered numbers again on offense.
High-powered numbers. You go right down to the bottom. The key number, the 7 defensive touchdowns for Early County.
All right, now the key player to watch is the quarterback, number 16, Joel Harvin.
Joel Harvin doesn't put it up a lot. The thing to worry about is the interception ratio to touchdowns that you see at the last column, but he also doubles as the holder on extra points.
And earlier we had a chance to talk with Early County coach Trey Wolf.
Yeah, we've run the football all year, and we're going to try to do the same, mix in play action. We base out of the wing tee, and just try to do the same things that's got us here. You know, we're going to run it and work some backs in and out, and just try to do a good job picking times to throw the football, and try to hold on to it. That's going to be the biggest thing we're going to do, is get field position, those kind of things, and just do the same things that got us here. You know, that's the biggest thing, nothing different. Defensively, we base out of a 4-4. We're going to try to be real aggressive up front. Our linemen are going to really crowd the ball and try to penetrate and run down the line, and we're going to probably stun a lot of linebackers and that kind of thing, and play about 100% man coverage. So we're going to be aggressive and try to create some turnovers and just do the same things that's made us play good defense all year.
And good comments from both coaches. I think they're ready to go. What do you think?
I think they're ready to go. Another key player to watch for GAC, Brandon Sutherland.
All right, he's going to be a good one. All right, let's go downstairs to our sideline reporter, Mr. Prep Sports Plus reporter, Anthony White. Hello, Anthony.
Well, thank you, fellas. Well, guys, before the game, I had a chance to talk to both coaches, and they seem to be pretty relaxed, and their team seemed to be pretty loose. Coach Wolf said that he's worried about stopping the rushing attack of Micah Andrews, and on the other side, Coach Chuck feels he's worried about the quickness and the size of the Bobcats. Either way you look at it, either one are going to get mighty Buford next week.
All right, thanks, Anthony. So it's going to be a great ball game. Anthony's got it covered downstairs. We've got it covered for you upstairs. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Should be a lot of fun. Let's tee it up and get it on.
All right, everybody get comfortable at home. The AA semifinal is coming your way next. Greater Atlanta Christian and Early County next on GPTV. And welcome back to the Georgia Dome as we get ready for the kickoff of the AA semifinal between Greater Atlanta Christian and Early County. Mark Lassiter, interesting story. Of course, yesterday there were a number of twins and family stories were all throughout the ball games. This ball game features head coach Jimmy Chupp, and he's got two sons, twins on this team, Jeremy and, of course, Joe Chupp.
I imagine they spent a lot of time throwing the ball around in the backyard. Jeremy Chupp, the quarterback, he wears number 14, comes into the game with 1,300 yards passing. He's throwing to his twin brother, Joe Chupp. He'll wear number 10, and for the season, he has 453 yards.
All right, and earlier we had a chance to talk about with Coach Chupp about coaching his sons on the sidelines.
Real joy. There's some good days and bad days. You know, sometimes you make a little statement here or there, and it's the wrong thing. You should have said it, and sometimes Mama has to get on to you at home and tell you need to treat her sons a little differently. But for me, it's been a joy. My sons are great young men, and they're good football players, but they're great young men, and so that's been a joy, delight, and I'm gonna hate to see them go as they graduate. I'm thankful that I have a little 6-year-old daughter that I can figure out something maybe to coach her to. So that's who I am.
And he is a great football coach and a fantastic dad.
Talking to Coach Jimmy Chupp on the phone, he said Early County's big, fast, and strong. We're just some little old guys from Norcross. But I get the sense that behind that poker face exterior, there's some serious weapons on that GAC team.
You see Joseph Chupp on the screen right there. And as the teams get ready to come out for this one, I'll tell you what, it's been an exciting weekend of football. There's Jeremy Chupp's numbers out of the season. Mark, an exciting weekend of football. Let's talk about the other team now. You had Trey Wolf of Early County, and of course, they've had a very successful season as well.
Early County has a quick strike offense. They erupted for 35 points in the second half and beat Wesleyan 35-13 in a win early on. Person to watch for Early County, we talked about the quarterback Joe Harvin, but also one of his favorite targets is wide receiver Bernard George. We might want to keep an eye on him as well.
Now, as far as history goes, as far as Early County, now they're located first of all down in Blakely, which is of course in southwest Georgia. Now, they've never won a championship as far as being called Early County, but they won the B championship back in 1964 when it was known as Blakely High. So there you go. And then of course the last few seasons, the last 4 seasons, they finished runner-up twice during the last 4 seasons. So that's the story on Early County. Now, as far as Greater Atlanta Christian, of course, they're located up in Norcross, as you mentioned earlier in the broadcast. They've reached the semifinals in 1998, losing to Lincoln County at the Dome. And the Spartans, over the last 6 years, are 62-13.
Let's talk about a feature that both of these teams have in common, Jim, and that is the ability to run the football. Early County comes in averaging 200 yards per game on the ground, and at the same time, Greater Atlanta Christian comes in averaging 290 yards on the rush.
So we can expect a lot of running on this fast turf today. Micah Andrews, now you talked to me earlier and you said you ran into Dad before.
Well, it's funny, I was watching the Dooley County game, minding my own business, and I'm coming to the booth, and who should be there in the aisle but William Andrews. So I had a chance to talk to him, and interesting that we'll pick up on Micah's ability. He's a two-way player as well, and William Andrews talked about the fact that what he talks to Mike about is how to selectively take times out on the field. Now, we won't say he's dogging it, but sometimes when you go 2 ways, it's almost impossible to go flat out an entire game. So Micah really wants to save his legs for that running back duty that he has to really provide for Greater Atlanta Christian.
Now, what I noticed is that in the quarterfinals, Micah had to come in and play quarterback because the team had some injuries. Now, I wonder how that's going to affect his play.
It's a tough duty for Micah. Also, on the defensive side, as you mentioned, playing cornerback, he'll have some challenges because he'll do a lot of running on this turf. William Andrews talked about the feature of playing on AstroTurf is that it takes a lot more energy out of your legs, and we saw players yesterday coming up late in games with cramps.
You're talking about Micah Andrews. One of the guys that likes to block for him and does an excellent job is Brandon Sutherland, the big fullback, 6'2", 210.
Brandon doesn't get a lot of the ink, but he is overlooked as a big-time talent. He may be even faster than Micah, an outstanding blocker. He set the school record, you ready for this one, as a sophomore in the discus.
I'll tell you something right there, right? Also, I'll tell you on defense now, on the other side of the ball for Early County, as you get to see them get ready to come out. Marcus Worlds, number 55, defensive lineman, and Leonard Lavac, number 75. These guys are big, and they play some big-time football in the trenches. Worlds is 6'2", 270. Lavac, 6'3", 290.
You got to love a defensive player named Worlds. But what Early County loves to do is bring 8 men into the box, load up that defensive line of scrimmage. And against Greater Atlanta Christian, this should be an interesting chess match as the two coaches try to solve the running game.
As far as Greater Atlanta Christian's defense, of course, the two leading tacklers on that defense is number 36, Eric Schultz, a linebacker. He stands at 5'9", 170. And Brandon Sutherland, there's that name again, number 35. He stands at 6'2", 210.
Brandon Sutherland, let's flip it over and talk about him on offense. He's gained 522 yards and a very gaudy 8.2-yard average per carry.
All right, and of course, the Early County offense, you talked earlier about Joel Harvin. There's Coach Trey Wolf, 25-3, second year at Early County, and that's a success story in itself right there.
There could be one key to this game, Jim, coming in. Greater Atlanta Christian may be a little bit depleted in this defensive line. They lost a key lineman, Stephen Brewster, last week with a torn ACL, and number 50, Wheeler Parsons, broke his leg in practice 2 weeks ago, so they may be a little bit thin. Greater Atlanta Christian is a team, as we talked about, that features two-way players. We'll see how that depth comes into effect later in this ballgame.
All right, fans are on their feet for the opening kickoff. All the fans from Blakely made the trip north, and of course, the fans from Norcross made a little short trip down 85 to Atlanta.
Coach Jimmy Chuck of GAC smiling on the sideline. He's got to be feeling very good about himself.
You betcha. Look at those fans. They're ready to go. All right, looks like Early County's going to kick it off first to Greater Atlanta Christian. Adrian Thompson is going to kick it off for Early County. And back deep is number 3, Micah Andrews. And that'll be the first of many times we say his name during this broadcast. And we are underway in the AA semifinal from the Georgia Dome. Andrews takes it at the 11, across the 30, 35 to the 36-yard line. And that's where the Spartans will take over first and 10. Micah Andrews, keep your eyes on him. Could be the big difference in the ball game.
Look at the stride on Andrews on the kick return. About 3 strides, he eats up 5 yards.
Jeremy Chupp's numbers on the season, a very successful season for Jeremy. And, of course, he threw a lot to his brother, Joseph Chupp, who wears number 10. And, of course, being twins, they both stand at 6'3", and they both weigh 180 pounds. All right, here we go. First and 10 from the 36-yard line for the Spartans, GAC in Early County. First play from scrimmage. And the handoff to Brandon Sutherland, and Sutherland maybe picks up a couple of yards.
First player there for Early County looked like Leonard Levitt, offensive defensive lineman at the point of attack. Not much there in the center of the field.
Here's your lineup, your offensive line for GAC. Up front, Melson, Brewster, Sharp, Funderburg, and the center is Bennett. Then you have Sutherland at fullback, McDonald wide receiver, Andrews, of course, the running back, Chupp the wide receiver, and Fletcher the tight end. Second down and 8 for the Spartans. Chupp, fake pitch, and the handoff to Sutherland again, and Sutherland barrels his way up the middle to about the 41-yard line. Good defense by Lavac and also Balcom. Here's your Early County defense. The front 4, Mills, Worlds, Lavac, and Peterson. Your linebackers are Duncan, Foster, and Balcom. And back deep you got George, Williams, George, and Harris. More on that defensive back combination later in the broadcast. Jeremy Chupp, there you see him calling the signals on 3rd and 5. And the pitch to Micah Andrews. Andrews is across the 42 and picked off. Heavy hit by number 33 of Early County. That's Dan Foster.
What Early County likes to do, Jim, is neutralize the line with their linemen and allow their linebackers to clean up. That time Dan Foster comes in, cleans up right in your screen. Another look at it from ground level is the handoff. Andrews has thoughts of making a little stutter step, form tackle.
Actually, Darius Williams made the initial hit on Micah. but it was Dan Foster who put him to the ground. On fourth down, it's Barrett Sampe kicking it off. And on the return, it's Darius Williams, and he's tackled immediately by number 24, Eric Griffin. Good defensive coverage by Eric Griffin on special teams. And Early County's offense will go to work. And there you see the master of the offense, Joel Harvin.
Greater Atlanta Christian has struggled this season with their punting game. On Early County side, they've blocked 5 punts. This may be something that may evolve later on in the game in terms of special teams.
Bobcats start off at their own 30-yard line. 1st and 10. And the handoff to Eldred Coleman. And Coleman is stopped cold immediately at the 30-yard line. Stopped by a number of defenders, including number 7, Tyler Fletcher. And there's your defensive lineup, or offensive lineup, I should say, for Early County. Your offensive line, Wilkerson, Peterson, Worlds, Smith, and Mells, your center. And in the back, it's George at running back, Coleman a running back, George a wide receiver, Harris a wide receiver, and Malcolm is your tight end. There's your head coach, Trey Wolf, for Early County. 2nd and 9. Handoff, right side, Nick George across the 40-yard line and brought down by a good defensive play by number 10, Joseph Chupp.
Nice little ball fake into the middle of the line, faking to Eldred Coleman and coming back to the near side.
There's your GAC defense. It's Melson, Brewster, and Funderburg. And then it's Fletcher, Thomas, Sutherland, and Schultz. And back deep, it's Griffin, Chupp, Nouse, and of course, McDonald.
Setting up for our first measurement of the day as the ball is squarely on the 40-yard line.
Looks like they've got about a foot.
Look for Early County to use Eldred Coleman on this next play. He's the power back they like to use inside, has a 5.3-yard average.
So it's going to be a 3rd and about a foot for Early County.
Coleman wears number 32. He'll be the deep back.
There's, of course, Trey Wolf, the head coach of the Bobcats. As you get a shot there, Eric Coleman, the lone setback. 3rd and 1. Harvin pushes forward, and he looks like he has enough for the first down, Mark.
Went with that wing formation. Early County just wedges out enough for the first down.
Harvin quickly comes over to the sidelines to find out what the next play will be. So it'll be a 1st and 10 for the Bobcats at the 44-yard line. Just underway, the AA semifinal from the Georgia Dome. Harvin, 2-step drop, fires downfield, has a man, incomplete. Intended receiver number 5, Darius Williams.
Player to watch in the middle of the line, Jim. Jermaine Mells, the center for Early County, is working against Josh Barker of Greater Atlanta Christian on the last play. Got a nice block in, allowing his quarterback enough time to make that deep throw.
There you see Darius Williams. There's Trey Wolf, only 3 losses and all to Americus. That's why I said Early County earlier in the broadcast. They're happy Americus is gone. Handoff left side and brought down immediately is number 29, Sean Harris. Good defensive play by number 36, Eric Schultz.
Speed, and nothing but speed from Eric Schultz, who closed from his linebacker position. Both teams like to feature a blitz every now and then. I would say that between the two, Early County will come with a blitz a little bit more often than GAC, but that time Schultz made the tackle for the loss.
And of course you saw Schultz numbers on the season, a very successful season for Eric. 3rd and 15 now. We'll call it the 38-yard line for Early County. And of course Harvin now in the shotgun. Harvin rolls right, can't find the man, now in trouble, and he finally dumps the pass off, but they're going to say he was down. incomplete pass. Joseph Thomas was all over him, number 28 for Greater Atlanta Christian.
It looked as if Early County was trying to get the ball deep to Bernard George, working against Doug Vaughn of Greater Atlanta Christian, but due to the coverage, they allow their linebackers to clean up, as you mentioned. Another great play by GAC.
So back to punt is Joel Harvin, your quarterback and your punter. So you can always look for a fake later on in the ball game, possibly. So Harvin's punt is off. Back deep is Joseph Thomas, and he just lets this thing bounce. And it's going to be touchdown at the 25-yard line. And that's where Greater Atlanta Christian will take over, 1st and 10.
GAC was thinking block all the way, only one player deep, allowed the ball to hit, which really favored Early County. They picked up another 15 yards on the bounce.
And there's your support for the Greater Atlanta Christian team.
Yeah, those Spartans on the sideline. I like that Spartan with the sneaker look.
Only at the Dome. There's Coach Chupp directing traffic, making sure the right players are in for some of the plays that he calls. There you see the Spartans, 12 victories this season, and of course their only loss to the Buford Wolves. 1st and 10 for the Spartans. Chuck with the handoff to Micah Andrews, and he is met immediately by number 33, Dan Foster. There's Foster right there, and you betcha that was a good play by Dan.
We talked about at the opening, Early County liking to load up the line of scrimmage. So far, Micah Andrews not having any success. As you see the tackle from ground level, Corey Kegler of Early County got that first shot in.
There you see Dan getting ready for another play, and as you see his numbers on the season. 2nd down and 9 for Greater Atlanta Christian. Chuck hits left. Micah Andrews, 25-30, 35, and knocked out of bounds by number 5, Darius Williams.
We talked about Corey Kegler on the previous play. He's working against Josh Barker of GAC that actually got a nice little block that allowed Andrews to get to the sideline just a bit. You see the hit on the quarterback, but once you get Andrews into the open field, that's where he's most dangerous.
Jeremy Chupp did take a hit immediately, just right after pitching that ball to Micah Andrews. And of course, look at Micah Andrews' numbers on the year. 9 yards a carry, and total yards and the average yards are school records.
The number that's not on there, he has over 6,100 yards for his career.
3rd and 1. Andrews, right side. Nice spin move, and he picks up the 1st down out over the 40-yard line.
You talk about an intuitive move. Watch the spin that Micah Andrews makes with the stiff arm punctuated at the end of that last run. Here's the handoff. Andrews sees the line of scrimmage. Take that. I'm going to spin on you too.
And finally brought down by number 75, Leonard Lavatt. I talked to you about Leonard before. Big boy, 6'3", 290.
We probably have two of the largest offensive and defensive lines we've seen so far.
1st and 10 for Greater Atlanta Christian. They mark it at the 40-yard line. On the option, pitch left, Micah Andrews, 45, and is brought down by number 41, Octavius Balcom. Balcom's a big guy, too, at 6'4", 215.
But it's all about the cuts. Watch the cuts by Micah Andrews as he gets the pitch, makes the step, the plant right there, a little shoulder, picks up yardage.
So it'll be 2nd and 5. There's the numbers on Balcom for the year. Only a junior, too.
Octavius is a good name for a Spartan.
Yeah, I like that. 2nd and 5 for the Spartans. Chuck, handoff up the middle, and Micah Andrews runs into a wall, led by number 75, Leonard Lavatt.
Can you say penetration? Leonard Lavatt was in the backfield of GAC at the snap, makes the hit right there.
Lavatt, even though he's 6'3", 290, he's quick on his feet.
The key is getting off on the snap of the ball. Coaches like to train linemen to get that little peek in on the center. Don't listen to the count. Watch the snap of the ball, and you're off.
I'm glad that guys weren't that big when I played high school football. I'll tell you, that would be quite interesting. There's a timeout on the field as we have no score, just under 5 minutes to go here in the first quarter of play from the Georgia Dome. Of course, the winner of this game plays Buford next week in the AA championship, I should say. The Wolves beat the Panthers 38-12 yesterday. And there you see a little stat there on the Spartans. They've made the playoffs 8 of the last 9 years. A lot of success up there in Norcross.
If you look in the dictionary and look up low key, you see a picture of Jimmy Chupp right there, because he's one of those coaches that's just going to go about his job on the sideline. Not much emotion, very businesslike. You see him with the headset there, just checking things out, seeing what's going on. Jimmy Chupp, GAC.
And what a great story. I mean, to be able to coach your kids, and the fact that he's got twins playing. Of course, now he said he had a 6-year-old daughter that's coming through the ranks, so hopefully she won't play football. But, maybe she, you never know. I mean, we've had stories on girls that are kickers on teams. So.
It's a family affair in the Chupp family.
No, that's right. Here we go. 3rd and 6 for the Spartans. Chupp off the option, pitches right, and Micah Andrews is in trouble again. Right away, hit by number 41, Octavius Balcom.
Balcom was there almost at the point of the pitch. Watch the quickness. Andrews was fortunate. The ball was thrown just a hair in back of him, because Balcom might have been able to make a play on that.
And there you see Octavius Balcom. And to punt this one away is Barrett Santee on 4th and 11. There you see Barrett. And back deep is number 21, Bernard George. George fields it at the 22, takes a few steps back, turns right, looks up the sideline, and is finally brought down at the 30-yard line. Tackle made by number 36, Cedric Miller.
So far, Jim, this game is being played in the center of the field, a game of field position so far. One of the keys I thought coming in would be the time of possession, as both of these teams are run heavy. We'll see how the line play wears on both as we get into the later stages of this contest.
If you are enjoying GHSA football live from the Georgia Dome, show your appreciation by becoming a member of GPTV. Log on to our website at www.gpb.org. It's easy, totally secure. It only takes 2 minutes. That's www.gpb.org. And thanks for supporting high school sports on GPTV. 1st and 10 for the Bobcats. Handoff right side, Eldrick Coleman. And Coleman gets up to near the 50-yard line. That's going to be a first down for Early County.
Watch the line play by Early County up front. It was the cutback that picked up the yardage. Is the handoff, and watch them cut right here against the grain into the secondary of GAC.
Another couple of good spin moves there by Eldrick Coleman to stop by number 14, Jeremy Chupp. And, of course, there you see the numbers on Coleman for the season. 1st and 10. They mark it at the 48-yard line for Early County. Harvin, handoff. Jeremy Favors. And Favors is up near the 50-yard line. The stop by number 36, Eric Schultz.
Schultz did an excellent job on the quick back to get low and get a hand on the ankle as you look at it from ground level. Nice tackle by GAC.
Eric Schultz, by the way, is one of the leading tacklers on the team, along with Brandon Sutherland, number 35. 2nd down and 8 for Early County. Harvin, 2-step drop, and the pass left side to number 5. That's Darius Williams. And Williams picks up about 9, maybe 10 yards on that play.
Judging by the spot, Jim, they will pick up enough for the first down. As you see the catch to the sideline and the drive after the catch. 3 players there for GAC. Early County not denied as you see the run after the catch.
Good second effort by Darius Williams. The stop by number 24, Eric Griffin. And that's a 1st and 10 for Early County now at the Greater Atlanta Christian 41-yard line. Here's your handoff to Jeremy Favors. Favors goes right side, turns the corner at the 35. What a block! As Favors was making the turn, Bernard George came up with an incredible block on the right side. to free up that corner for Favors.
Also what Early County did, using the influence, sending Sean Harris the other way and then coming back to the near side with Favors, as you get a look at the back end of the play and the crushing block. That got the rise out of the crowd.
Yeah, the crowd here at the Georgia Dome gets to see the replay of that on the big screen, and quite a reaction. 2nd and 2 at the 33 for Early County. Joel Harvin is your quarterback. Harvin gives it to Jeremy Favors. Favors goes across the 30 and finally brought down near the 26-yard line. The stop made by number 24, Eric Griffin.
Jimmy, you'll see coaches think in sequence. That time they gave the ball to Favors coming to the near side, actually a variation on the previous play.
A lot of hitting going on downstairs. Let's listen.
That'll knock the paint off the helmet.
Oh, yeah.
Favors to the near side. As you can look at GAC linebacker Brandon Sutherland, one of those two-way players as we sort out the flag.
Flag's going to go against Early County.
Sutherland is a name we'll be calling all afternoon. He's the fullback linebacker wearing number 35 with GAC, listed at 6'2", 240 pounds.
So the ball gets moved back to the 42-yard line. That's where it'll be 2nd and 11 now for Early County. Harvin, 3-step drop. Look, can't find anybody. Finally being rushed and tackled in the backfield for a sack by number 67, Cameron Melson. What a play by Melson.
Nothing fancy, just a straight bull rush by Melson, using his strength to just overpower the Early County offensive line. Watch the rush here, and he just rolls over the defensive lineman and makes the hit.
What a battle going on in the trenches right now.
Not much technique. Melson just straight ahead power.
So it'll be 3rd and 17 now as the Bobcats keep moving back on this drive. It's back now to the 47-yard line of Greater Atlanta Christian, and now we have a flag thrown on the field.
There was a great shot of Melson from ground level. Now you can tell he's a hitter. You can see the scuff marks on the front of that helmet. Jimmy Chupp on the sideline for GAC.
This one's going against the Bobcats as well.
Dead ball foul, illegal substitution on the offense. Still 3rd down.
Gary Lee, your referee for today's AA semifinal. So now they're back in their own territory, at their own 47-yard line. 3rd and a half mile. Harvin in the shotgun, handoff, and tackled in the backfield is Darius Williams. What a defensive play by number 36, Eric Schultz.
Give Eric Schultz another decal and give him credit for the closing speed to make that hit in the backfield of Early County. He'll come like a blur right there.
Nice play by Schultz. Now I know why he's one of the leading tacklers on the team.
From ground level, gets low, gets a grab, pops back up.
To punt now is Joel Harvin, and back deep, number 28, Joseph Thomas for Greater Atlanta Christian, and Thomas calls for the fair catch at the 34-yard line. That's where the Spartan offense goes back to work.
We're zipping right along with 42 seconds remaining in the first quarter. Both teams really not able to get into the red zone as the defenses have dominated.
There you see Jeremy Chupp leading the offensive team back on the field.
I will say this also, Jim. These are two of the better dressed teams, both going with the gold helmets, the variation with GAC, the white jerseys, Early County with the deep green, or I should say blue. Let me check my eyes here for a second.
You're good at measurements. We know about that from yesterday.
Can't do color, though.
1st and 10 at the 34. Chupp with the fake handoff, keeps it, goes straight up the gut. Crosses over the 40-yard line. The stop made by number 7, Nick George.
One of the keys to watch for, the first team that is able to get to the outside effectively may be the team that's able to get its offense in sync, as we see the replay.
Tell you what, Mark, let's take a quick timeout and throw it downstairs to Anthony White. Anthony.
Well, guys, just to piggyback on GAC's defense, just what Coach Trey Wolff said he was going to have a problem with there because they stopped the run pretty well and they stopped the pass. And as you see, they're holding Early County. They're holding them up on the line. I'm sorry.
All right, Anthony, thanks very much. Time runs out in the first quarter. No score. Greater Atlanta Christian and Early County. Hope you've enjoyed it. Second quarter coming up between the Spartans and the Bobcats when we return. Welcome back to the Georgia Dome for the start of the second quarter between GAC and Early County. Jim Ginocchio, Mark Lassiter, and of course, Prep Sports Plus reporter Anthony White roaming the sidelines for this one.
A peek at the Early County band coming out of the timeout. Both teams really trying to figure out the offensive strategies because the defenses so far have been dominant.
There's your total yards in the first quarter, and Early County with the edge right now. 3rd and 7 coming up now for Greater Atlanta Christian as we begin the second quarter. Jeremy Chupp is in the shotgun position. Chupp, 3-step drop, fires downfield, has a man down the sidelines, and it's almost picked off. Almost picked off by number 29, Sean Harris. Good defensive play. The intended receiver was number 9, Kevin McDonald.
GAC ran a nice little pick maneuver on the last play using Chupp and McDonald to kind of scissors each other as Chupp tried to go deep downfield. The defensive back had excellent position to make a play on that ball. A little bit heavy in the hands. They'll bring it back.
On 4th down, Barrett Santee will kick it away. Back deep, number 5, Darius Williams for Early County, and also number 21, Bernard George. And it's blocked. The kick is blocked. The ball is rolling towards out of bounds there, and that's where Early County will take over. The block by number 33, Dan Foster. What a play by Foster. And a note about the Bobcats, as you see this block coming up here, the Bobcats have blocked 5 punts during the regular season, and they've run 4 of them back. So, and Bernard George and Darius Williams each had a couple of blocks during the season. And, of course, Foster comes up with this one.
Barrett Santee a little bit deliberate on his plant step, allowing this very dangerous special teams of Early County to come in and make the block.
So the Bobcats start with great field position at the 27-yard line of Greater Atlanta Christian. Harvest, handoff to Sean Harris. Harris tangled up in the backfield, brought down by number 36. Cedric Miller, and also number 67, Cameron Melson of Greater Atlanta Christian.
Let's give Melson an assist with a capital A because it's his force. Watch number 67 your screen. He doesn't make the first hit, but forces him to the outside, gets back up, and gets in on the tackle.
So the Bobcats are backed up, and it's going to be a 2nd and 17 now for Early County.
Now those are real fans. You want to see the definition of fan? You paint your whole body.
Boy, I'll tell you what, you got the body painters, you got the big Mexican hats going, you know, you're going to start looking for the tacos. Watch out. All right, here we go. Harvin drops back, looks downfield, has a man in and out of the hands of number 21, Bernard George. Defensive player was Joseph Chupp, number 10 for Greater Atlanta Christian.
George seemed to stop on that last pattern as the ball was thrown to the spot the quarterback thought he would continue running towards. You can see him stop and then lean back at the last second, kind of off balance, incomplete. Both teams struggling so far in the passing game.
Mark, a great point brought up by our guys in the truck. He probably saved an interception there.
That tip ball, sometimes you want to have your offensive players turn defense. If you see a defensive player in the area, get a look at the Early County sideline.
Early County calls a timeout. They want to talk it over as we're just underway here in the second quarter from the Georgia Dome.
We talked about special teams possibly being a key, and on the block, Barrett Santee of Greater Atlanta Christian really being victimized by that punt block team of Early County. They've not only had 5 blocks, they've returned 4 for touchdowns.
Yeah, it's an incredible special teams they have. And The defense is strong. The offense is strong. Both teams, very successful seasons in the AA ranks. Of course, Greater Atlanta Christian comes out of Region 8, Early County, Region 1. And, of course, the winner of this game will take on Buford next week in the AA championship game. Of course, the Wolves beat the Panthers 38-12. Greater Atlanta Christian's only loss, as we mentioned earlier, was to Buford. Early County's only loss for the season to Americus. So we could have a rematch of, could be Greater Atlanta Christian and be played up in Norcross. So could go either way. Harvin in trouble, and down goes Harvin, hit by number 77, Will Funderburg. And the fans from Norcross like that play.
The advantage for GAC on that last play as Schultz used his speed working against center. Travis Lester of Early County just blows by him into the backfield and gets in on the hit. Lester, number 56, was the player that caused the chaos up front for Early County.
And Joel Harvin will punt it away. They began at the 37. They're punting from the 44. Punts away by Harvin. It's a corner kick, and this one's going to take a nice bounce. Check this one out.
Trouble.
Nice coverage down near the end zone by number 8, Adrian Thompson, who downs it at the 3-yard line.
Adrian Thompson, listed as both a running back and linebacker, used that speed to get downfield. Had about another hair or so if he really wanted to get greedy to stop that ball from going into the end zone. But as it was, he made the smart play and stopped it at the 3.
So the Spartans start deep in their own side of the field there. It's at the 3-yard line. There you see quarterback Jeremy Chupp. I would imagine they're going to be doing some running here, Mark.
The problem is they haven't been very successful in the middle of the field as Early County has dominated the line of scrimmage.
Chupp on the draw, gives it to Micah Andrews, and Micah actually loses a yard on the play. Good defensive play by number 41, Octavius Balcom. Also in on the play, number 55, Marcus Worrell.
Balcom, who lines up at linebacker, gets close to the line of scrimmage and uses his speed to just wrap up on Andrews before he has a chance to get upfield, actually for about a 1-yard loss, as you mentioned.
So it'll be a 2nd and 11 deep in their own territory for Greater Atlanta Christian.
You know Balcom's a hitter. He's got that little ring above his face mask. It's a sure sign of a hard hitter.
2nd and 11 for the Spartans. Chubb hands off again. Micah Andrews picks up about 3 yards to the 5-yard line. Stopped by number 33, Dan Foster.
What Early County is managing to do with that 8-man front is not allow GAC any space to carve out yardage inside. And you would expect that GAC from this point on the field will stay conservative. You don't want to have any type of turnover, but you have a lot of yardage from the spot of this play to the near side.
So now it's 3rd and 8. There you see the 3rd down conversions today for both teams. Chubb under center. Handoff, Micah Andrews goes off right tackle and is brought down at the 7-yard line by Octavius Balcom, who makes another big play for Early County.
A big play and a sure tackle. Balcom does not miss. Once he gets a hand on you, you're tackled. Watch the handoff to Andrews. Balcom into your screen, wraps up, takes him down.
Barrett Santee now on to punt for Greater Atlanta Christian. And remember, the Bobcats had 5 blocked punts earlier in the season. They've already have one today.
Watch the step. See if he makes it a little bit quicker this time.
Santee takes 2 steps and gets rid of it immediately. Back deep, number 21, Bernard George. George just lets this one bounce. Takes a really bad bounce for Greater Atlanta Christian. And this one's down at the 30-yard line. So Bobcats again start with excellent field position.
Santee's punt, Jim, as you mentioned, actually hit almost out to the 35-yard line and then just took that retro bounce towards the GAC end zone. They're going to spot it right at the 40-yard line as Jimmy Chupp coolly looks at his playlist.
If you just joined us earlier today on GPTV, Dooley County suited up 25 players and beat Metter 24-20 to advance to the Single A championship game. They'll play Clinch County next weekend. Wow, 25 players, Mark.
What a great scene. We'll talk about that.
Harvin, handoff, no, fake handoff, looks downfield, has a man, that's complete to number 41, Octavius Balcom. So Balcom makes the big plays on defense. He also makes the big plays on offense.
And the big play was defined by Balcom getting into the secondary, squaring up and facing his quarterback, giving him an excellent target to hit. You see Balcom turn. Now he makes the catch. A little run after the catch. He says, okay, I've been punishing people as linebacker. I'm going to punish you as a tight end.
Good stop by Joseph Chupp, the cornerback. There you see Octavius Balcom's numbers during the season on offense.
Look at those eyes of Balcom. Focused. Have a player injured for Early County. They're going to help Tony Smith off to the sideline. Jimmy Chupp of GAC.
Hopefully he's going to be okay.
Jimmy Chupp described Early County as big, fast, and strong. We just some poor little kids from Norcross. He's got a better team than that. They're in a dogfight.
All right, the Bobcats are in the red zone at the 14-yard line. Harvin, handoff. Jeremy Favors tries to turn the corner right side and does, and gets inside the 10-yard line. They'll mark this one at the 8-yard line. And that's where the Bobcats will have a first down. Make it a second down. Here's the play again.
Here's the handoff to the far sideline. The closing speed of the linebacker for GAC, Brandon Sutherland. But the body language I'm not very happy with, as GAC went back to the huddle after the last play a little bit sluggish.
So a 2nd and 4 now for the Bobcats. They are at the 8-yard line. That's Joel Harvin, your quarterback. Stands 6'2", 175. Harvin, 3-step drop, looks in the corner of the end zone, has a man, and it's incomplete. Intended for number 5, Darius Williams.
Actually, the closest player to it was defensive back for GAC, Jim Knaus. He's actually listed as a linebacker, but had deep responsibility on the fade to the corner. Overthrown. You'll see Knaus come into your screen right there. Got his hands on the ball.
And so it's a 3rd and 4 for Early County. Harvin with the handoff. That's Eldrick Coleman. And Coleman works his way down to about the 6-yard line. That's going to bring up a 4th down.
Let me make a correction on the previous play. That was actually Jeremy Chupp that had deep responsibility as a safety.
So they're going to be about 1.5 yards short, so we'll call it a 4th and 2 for the Bobcats, and it looks like they might go for this one, considering Joel Harvin just ran right back on the field. There you see him, number 16. 4th and 2. Big play for the Bobcats. Everybody on their feet here at the Dome. Harvin, handoff, number 33, that's Dan Foster. And he's not in, but he sure has a first down for Early County. The big fullback took it straight up the gut.
Watch the cut back to the center of the field. Squares the shoulder pads and picks up the first down. As you mentioned, Early County will have 1st and goal from the 1.
I got a funny feeling they might call his number one more time. 1st and goal. There you see Foster's numbers on the year. Only a sophomore. Mark, I'm going to go out on a limb. I think it's Foster.
Some confusion up front.
No, it's Harvin straight up the middle. Touchdown, Early County.
Greater Atlanta Christian on that last touchdown just didn't seem to get set on defense. Early County takes full advantage, gets the ball snapped and into the end zone.
Great call, a quarterback sneak by number 16, Joel Harvin, and the Bobcats take the early lead.
Credit to field position that Early County picked up on the exchange of the 2 punts with a very short drive start from its 30 all the way in.
Now you see Harvin is the holder for the kicker Adrian Thompson, who looks to try to make this a 7-0 game. The snap, the hold, the kick, it's up, and it's good by Thompson. So Early County takes a 7-0 lead here in the semifinals at the Georgia Dome over Greater Atlanta Christian.
We talked about field position off the top. Credit the short punt of Barrett Santee, really setting up that last drive for Early County.
And the fans from Blakely are happy to say the least. Only halfway through the second quarter.
I like that last sign. Fan had a sign that said the Boom Boom Room is now open. That's a good one. We had to put that on the top 10 list.
There's your scoring drive for Early County. 6 plays covering 30 yards, and of course Joel Harvin capping it off with a quarterback sneak to make it 7-0. A little sigh of relief for the coaches down there on the Bobcat sideline. Adrian Thompson is going to kick it off for Early County. And back deep, of course, number 3, Micah Andrews. And I bet you he's ready to break one. What do you think, Mark? Andrews let this one bounce at the 11, takes it on one hop and covers it over the 20-yard line. Andrews to the 25 and finally brought down on special teams coverage by number 40, Jarvis Epps.
You talk about Micah Andrews. Give credit to Early County, bottling him up early. Really hasn't been able to get into any kind of rhythm. And sometimes running backs need that extra rhythm to get into the flow of a game. And Andrews so far has really been stopped close to the line of scrimmage.
So they're 1st and 10 for Greater Atlanta Christian at the 27-yard line. Two wideouts. Chuck fake handoff, looks downfield, has a man, fires, incomplete. Over the head of the intended receiver, number 9, Kevin McDonald.
Let's pick up on that point for a second, too, Jim. Running backs are funny animals. They can sometimes play discouraged. And right now, Micah Andrews, who really hasn't had a chance to get into space, they made the ball fake to him on the last play, but I would sense that his body language right now is not at full speed.
2nd and 10 for the Spartans. Two wideouts, split off to the right side. Chuck, handoff, Andrews up the middle. Andrews breaks loose to the 40, 45. Finally brought down by number 33, Dan Foster. A play-saving tackle by Dan Foster as Micah Andrews broke loose.
And just when I talk about Andrews being discouraged, he makes that big run right up the middle. That could be the run that gets him on track, as you see him in his favorite area, in space, able to make moves on defensive backs using some of that agility and quickness. Watch the handoff again as Micah Andrews gets into the secondary. Nice little cutback against the block of the player with the lead responsibility, Jim Nouse of GAC.
Good play by Foster. 1st and 10 at the 49-yard line. Chuck off the option pitch to Micah Andrews, and Andrews is on his way again down to the 32-yard line. Stopped again by number 33, Dan Foster. You get this idea that Foster has got his eyes on Andrews all day long.
Andrews makes a nice run, but right in front of him, make the note of number 35, Brandon Sutherland, leading the way. Doesn't really get a good block in, but Sutherland's the player that he loves to run behind.
So Micah Andrews starting to warm up. There you see his numbers on the day. 13 carries for 58 yards. Mark your calendar for Friday night, January 31st, for the return of Georgia's longest-running high school sports and academics program, Prep Sports Plus. You'll meet some of Georgia's most successful student-athletes. That's easy for me to say, Mark. Athletic programs and much more. That's Prep Sports Plus, returning on Friday, January 31st, exclusively on GPTV. And we've done 248 shows, Mark, in 11 years and covered a lot of great stories.
Definitely to be congratulated. Down on the field after the last play, Dan Foster for Early County, as you get a look at the GAC sideline.
And you notice the players are on their knee as they're watching for this player hurt on the field. And you know, I tell you what, it's all one big family out there. You know, everybody is always looking out for each other.
One thing about athletes, there's a lot of mutual respect on both sides of the field, and you can see the Greater Atlanta Christian players applauding the Early County player as he gets to his feet. Foster gets up and is able to get to the sideline. A really sportsmanlike, a very nice scene there as GAC waited in their huddle for him to get up and back to the sideline.
We are live at the Georgia Dome for the semifinals. This is the AA semifinal featuring Greater Atlanta Christian and Early County. I'm Jim Ginocchio along with Mark Lassiter and Anthony White down on the sidelines for this one. 1st and 10 for Greater Atlanta Christian at the 32-yard line of Early County. Jeremy Chupp is your quarterback. Chupp, two-step drop, pitches right side, Micah Andrews. Andrews looks to turn the corner, can't do it. He's stopped at the 31-yard line by number 29, Sean Harris.
Sean Harris got a hold of that ankle and didn't let go. He knew he had a load, waiting for somebody else to come and help out on the tackle. Here's the pitch. Micah Andrews coming into your living room. Watch the hit right there. I got you by the ankle, big fella.
Good play by Harris, staying with Micah Andrews.
Dan Foster is back from the sideline.
2nd and 10 for the Spartans. Chupp pitch left side. Micah Andrews looks for a hole, can't find one, and is gang tackled by a number of players from Early County, including number 50, Dedrick Peterson.
They got Micah Andrews so hard that time, the helmet comes flying off. Early County looking at an opportunity to just send that message. Here's the pitch. Andrews tries to cut back to the center of the field, and here comes Early County and the rest of the cavalry.
And the rest of the student body. Good play. Under 4 minutes to go. Look at the helmet of big number 75, Leonard Levant. Just what you were saying, Mark, early. He's taken a number of hits throughout this season. Chupp back to pass. Looks over the middle, and the ball tipped and incomplete. Intended for number 28. Joseph Thomas. Good defensive play by number 29, Sean Harris.
A dangerous throw as Joe Thomas is in double coverage. Early County had an excellent opportunity to make a play on that ball. As you look at the ground level shot, number 29, Sean Harris, as you mentioned, was actually in better position than the wide receiver and just falls to the turf knowing that he had a shot at the INT.
Now on a 4th and 10, Greater Atlanta Christian is going to go for it at the 33-yard line of Early County. Jeremy Chupp, you see the eyes of the quarterback. Fake handoff, Micah Andrews looks down the center of the field, has a receiver, but it's thrown over the head of Kevin McDonald. In pursuit on defense was number 1, Quentin Duncan.
They had Kevin McDonald open by about 5 yards on a deep post route. Here's the replay. The ball is thrown just a bit too far, about 2 yards beyond the receiver.
He knew it, didn't he?
Chupp knows he had him.
Yep, McDonald had a couple of steps on Quentin Duncan downfield. And Early County will take over on offense, 1st and 10 at the 32-yard line. Joel Harvin is the quarterback of the Bobcats. And the handoff straight up the middle to number 40, Jarvis Epps. Epps looks to turn the right corner. Can't quite do it. Good defensive play by number 35, Brandon Sutherland.
You know, it's quite a tough situation. You overthrow a wide open receiver, and then you have to go back to the sideline to answer to your dad.
That's an interesting situation. Wonder where Mom's sitting in the stands today.
Jimmy Chupp on the sideline for GAC. It's a good thing he's very even-tempered.
2nd and 7 for the Bobcats. 3 minutes and counting till halftime. Handoff left side to number 29. That's Sean Harris.
Melson for GAC. Cameron Melson, that is number 67 with the effective tackle. We'll watch the play coming this way. Watch number 67 play off the block and get a shoulder in on the running back. He's working against number 74, Corey Kegler. Just wasn't able to get position. Melson just used his strength once again.
Some of the good battles going on down there in the trenches. We might be able to get some shots of that later for you. 3rd and 7. Harvin drops back, sets up the screen, left side. This is number 5, Darius Williams. He crosses over the 40-yard line. He'll be close to a first down.
Excellent strategy by head coach Trey Wolf of Early County. You're going to get pressure on us. We're going to let you come in and run a screen right behind the pursuit. They get it to the outside. That's Early County's Darius Williams down the sideline.
So on 4th down, Joel Harvin will punt it away. And back deep is Joseph Thomas. He fields it at the 31. Thomas to the 35 and brought down by a bunch of Bobcats, including number 71. That's Bubba Simpson. Now there's a name for you for football.
A dangerous catch also, because first man down for Early County, Randy Kennedy, was about 2 yards away from the punt return man. As it stands, GAC will take over. Watch the space. He's right there. Got a hand in. A dangerous spot to make that catch.
And GAC takes over 1st and 10 now at their own 36-yard line. Coming up on a minute and a half remaining here till halftime. Jeremy Chuck could be calling an audible at the line of scrimmage. The pitch left side. Micah Andrews has some room, turns the corner. He's at the 50. Micah Andrews to the 45 of Early County and brought down by number 41, Octavius Falcom.
Downfield, wide receiver Joe Chupp had responsibility for throwing that last block that would spring Andrews the rest of the way. You get a look at the ground level replay. Andrews gets to the sideline, uses his speed, way downfield. See if we can get a look at number 10. Got a little bit involved in the play.
Good run by Micah Andrews. 1st and 10 for the Spartans now at the 45 of the Bobcats.
Nice shot of that Spartan helmet.
And a nice shot of Jeremy Chupp there. We've got cameras all over the place. Great team on the production side for GPTV. Downfield it goes. Incomplete. Intended for number 28, Joseph Thomas.
Joe Thomas
took a hit on that play.
He's working against Sean Harris deep downfield. GAC seems to feel that they have something that they can exploit on that deep post route. That's the second time they've attempted it.
Here it is again. There's Chupp. Watch this hit he takes right afterwards. Boom. And it goes over the head. There's the shot. Here's the hit on Chupp. Ouch. Big hit by your favorite name, Marcus Worlds, number 55. 2nd and 10 at the 45. Here you see Jeremy Chupp leading his team to the line of scrimmage. Coming up at the half, we'll hear from both bands from the schools, so stay tuned for that. That's right here on GPTV. Chupp, 2-step drop, looks over the middle again, overthrows his receiver, number 28, Joseph Thomas.
Same play. Joseph Thomas is actually working against 3 players for Early County, as GAC only had 1 player in the pattern.
Here you see head coach Chupp there on the sidelines. A 3rd and 10 now for Greater Atlanta Christian.
GAC sends 2 wide receivers to the top of the field. In previous plays, there's only been 1 man deep.
And 2 setbacks on 3rd and 10. Chuck, 1-step drop, fires to Micah Andrews, and he can't quite hold on to it, and it's incomplete. That'll set up a 4th and 10 for GAC.
Andrews might have caught a glimpse of Bernard George coming up from his defensive backfield position on that last attempted screen. GAC looks to show an apparent punt.
And that'll be Barrett Santee that's going to be punting it away. Here's your look at that play again. Oh yeah, he had his eyes downfield. There's no doubt about that. Santee to punt it away. Darius Williams and Bernard George back deep for Early County. There's the punt by Santee. A good punt. And fielded at the 16 by Darius Williams. Williams across the 20-yard line. Looks to turn the corner. Shoved out of bounds by number 44. That's Jim Nouse.
Darius Williams of Early County seemed to have a bit of problem judging the trajectory of that last punt. You can see him take that last little step as the ball's coming down. Makes the catch and gets to the sideline. Players that have never played in the dome before, it's not necessarily the turf that gets you in trouble, but looking up into that translucent ceiling.
10-yard return by Darius Williams. Bobcats have it, 1st and 10 at the 26-yard line. 43 seconds to go till halftime. Harvin, handoff, up the middle. That's Jarvis Epps getting the call for the Bobcats. Big number 40.
Early County seems content to take the 7-0 lead into the locker room as the clock will run.
And that's exactly what they're going to do, Mark. Clock ticking with 15 seconds. As I mentioned earlier, stay tuned. Coming up at the half, we'll hear from both schools' bands. They provide some great entertainment here at the Georgia Dome. So there you go. It's halftime. Early County has a 7-0 lead. They take it into the locker room over Greater Atlanta Christian. Halftime festivities coming up next on Georgia Public Television. This is the AA semifinals on GPTV. We'll keep it right here. Let's go downstairs to Anthony White. Anthony.
Okay, Coach, it was tough in the first half, but you all are up. I mean, what are you going to do in the second half?
Well, we just got to keep running the ball and keep it out of their hands. They're explosive. They're a little bit more explosive than we are, and we just got to do a good job controlling the ball. We caught a little field position there and was able to stick it in, but it's a struggle. They got one great football team. We just got to keep playing hard, and hopefully it'll work out for us.
Okay, I see that you all are putting a hat on Micah Andrews. You're doing a pretty good job of stopping him.
Well, you know, he can go at any time. We just got to keep it up. That's gone now. We can't dwell on that. We just got to keep playing hard and you know, like you say, get some hats on him.
Okay, good luck in the second half, Coach. Back to you guys.
All right, Anthony, thanks very much. I tell you what, I had practice the first time. You know what, it's live TV, you know. All right, now we'll go to the break. Early County up over GAC at the half. Halftime festivities underway. Coming up. Back here at the Georgia Dome, it's halftime. Early County leads it over GAC 7-0. Halftime festivities are underway. Let's go downstairs to Anthony White. Anthony.
Well, I'm standing here with a special guest, Falcons all-time great running back, William Andrews. His son, Micah, is GAC's running back. I mean, Mr. Andrews, I know you have to feel very proud of yourself.
Yeah, I'm real proud of his progress, what he's done in these last 4 years. I think he's going to turn out to be one fine individual and one heck of a football player. I mean, he's a lot better than I was when I was his age.
Okay, when he's running the ball, what kind of film do you get?
Well, you know, I can still feel the moves and all like that, but just watching him and how he plays, just make sure he stays behind his shoulders when he runs. And, you know, in this game, you got to pick your fight. Don't let anybody pick your fight for you. You got to pick your fight, know when to hit and know when to go down and know when to keep spinning and trying to get the best you can get.
Do you miss the game of football?
No, I don't. No, I love watching my youngsters, though. I'm real proud of them and the progress that they're making, like I said, and I'm ecstatic that he's doing as well as he is, and I wish the best and God blessings on him like nobody's business.
Okay, well, great to see you, Mr. Andrews. Back upstairs to you guys.
Thank you, Anthony, and I tell you, it's great to see William Andrews, a former Falcon. Of course, later on, you'll have another former Falcon in the broadcast booth for the 5A game, of course, Gerald Riggs. On the field right now for Greater Atlanta Christian, the Marching Spartan Band. The band directors are Wells Woodward and Trey Bendixson, and they're performing classic rock hits from the 70s. That's right. Yep. Yep, that was the punt block. And I'm trying to remember. Let's go downstairs to Anthony White. Anthony.
Okay, I'm standing here with the Monster Spartans band director, Will Woodruff. Tell me, what was the atmosphere like coming into this week, and how excited are your kids about playing today?
Very excited. We had a big camp rally yesterday at school, and everybody was really fired up. It was a great time.
Okay. What does it take to put together a good quality band?
It really starts from when they're very young in 5th grade. We start 5th grade band at GACS. They've got to get a really good foundation, practice hard. After years and years and a lot of time on their instruments, they can put a show like this together, and I'm really proud of my kids.
What are some of the sweet tunes that we're listening to today?
We've got 25 or 6 to 4 by Chicago, Crazy Little Thing called Love by Queen, and a Kansas tune called Carry On Wayward Son.
Well, thanks for coming out today, Mr. Woodruff. Back upstairs to you guys.
All right, thanks, Anthony White. Halftime festivities roll on from the Georgia Dome. AA semifinal. Early County leads it 7-0. And welcome back to the Georgia Dome as the halftime festivities roll on. On the field now for Early County High School, the Band of Blue. The band director is Mike Cook, drum major Jeffrey Lewis, and the band members, as you see, 70 members strong. Let's listen. sounds of the Band of Blue. Now let's go downstairs to Anthony White.
Yes, I'm standing here with Michael Cook, band director for Early County. Mr. Cook, it's a pleasure to finally meet you because last year you were up in the booth when I was trying to interview you.
Right. First time me being a band director here last year, I always announced, so I didn't even think about it. But I made it this year.
How you like it from field level?
Oh, I love it. Love it. Love it. Great. Did you say the field today?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It feels great. It's fine to be good to be in the lead, and the kids are fired up. They just love this place.
Okay, what was the preparation like coming into this week with you and your band?
Well, you know, it's a long football season, and they always get inspired to come here, but hard work. We start in the summer. We try to find music that people would enjoy listening to, and that the kids fits them, that they can play. And we have a dance line that doubles as a flag line, so we try to do something that would show them off also.
Okay, what are some of the tunes that we listen to today?
We do a couple of Chuck Mangione songs to start with, Feel So Good, and Children of Sanchez. Then we follow that by a Spanish tune, Winds of Sonora. And then we do Pretty Fly by The Offspring, and then the old 60s hit, Rescue Me.
Okay, well, thanks
for everybody.
Well, thanks for coming out today, Mr. Cook. Back up to you guys.
Thank you, Anthony. Some talented students down there in Blakely, Georgia. Well, I'll tell you what, we've got some first half highlights to show you. It's been a great ball game between Greater Atlanta Christian and Early County. We talked about the Bobcats and how they blocked 5 times the punts in the regular season. Here's another one in this game by Dan Foster as he blocked Santee's punt. And Foster also contributed on offense.
Foster with the run that set up the touchdown. Now, he doesn't make the score on this next one, but watch him get in on the action on the block that allowed the quarterback sneak.
And that's Joel Harden with the touchdown. Early County with the only points in the game. They lead at 7-0 over Greater Atlanta Christian. And we've got the numbers, and I'll tell you what, Bobcats look pretty good so far in this first half.
This has really been a game of field position, Jim. You can see, in terms of total yards, Greater Atlanta Christian actually has an advantage. Rushing yardage, they dominate, but Early County, based on the field position that was generated on the punt block, they will take a 7-0 lead.
And you talk time of possession, the early part of the broadcast. Look at that. Only 8 seconds separates the teams.
But that was my prediction. The team that won the time of possession would be the team that would win this game, and Early County has them by 5 seconds.
Well, who would have ever thought that little spread of time would make a difference in a 7-0 game? But you were right. All right, we'll have second half kickoff coming up here from the Georgia Dome between Greater Atlanta Christian and Early County. Stay tuned. Bobcats lead at 7-0. Welcome back to the Georgia Dome as we get ready for the start of the third quarter. Let's go downstairs to Anthony White. Anthony.
Okay, Coach, you're down by 7. What did you tell your team at halftime?
Oh, we just told them to keep working hard and, look for breaks. Something good's going to happen. And we're just happy to be here. And we're just going to keep working hard and try to put something on the board.
Okay, Early County is pretty quick and fast. I mean, how are you going to neutralize their speed?
Oh, I don't know. I know we got to try to move the chains, whether it's throwing or running. We got to find a way to make it work, and that's been real hard because they're so good on defense. It's been a little defensive battle both ways, and we got to make sure we don't have any turnovers, and that we can get some from them, and then put some points on the board.
Okay, good luck in the second half,
thanks.
Coach. Back up to you guys.
Thank you, Anthony. So, Mark, you heard Coach Chupp's comments. What do you think here?
You know, the thing I love about Coach Chupp, no matter what the situation, he's always got a smile on his face. He's just happy to be here. His team will, I will tell you this, they'll come out focused and ready to play, because if it were not for that block punt, we might have a shutout going both ways.
That's right. That's right. So there you see Early County huddling up before the start of the second half here at the Georgia Dome.
If there's one advantage that Early County asserted early, they made a definite effort to bottle up Micah Andrews of GAC. And in terms of the first quarter, wasn't until late in the half that Micah Andrews was actually able to break one of those big runs. We'll see if Early County focuses that 8-man front on specifically stopping Andrews.
Barrett Santee will tee it off for GAC. Back deep to receive is number 20, Jeremy Favors, and also number 29, Sean Harris. And here we go. The start of the second half. It's fielded by the short man at the 32-yard line. That's number 45, Yvonne Fed. So Yvonne Fed gets the ball for the Bobcats, and they take over 1st and 10. You think those fans are excited to be on statewide television.
As the GAC sideline, they're happy to be here, just like their coach. They're going to try to make some noise and bring their team back.
So Early County will start at their own 32-yard line with a 1st and 10. There you see Early County head coach Trey Wolf pacing the sidelines. Joel Harvin's your quarterback for the Bobcats on 1st and 10. And the handoff left side, that's Sean Harris. And Harris follows his left tackle, picks up maybe a yard or two. It'll be 2nd down at 8.
Jermaine Mells, the center for Early County that time, working against Blaine Bishop. He has the tough job because Bishop outweighs him by about 20 pounds. Not much doing in the center of the field.
Just underway, 3rd quarter. 2nd and 9 for the Bobcats. There you see Joel Harvin, the quarterback for Early County. And the handoff straight up the gut to number 32, Eldrick Coleman. And Coleman's met by a number of players from Greater Atlanta Christian, including Cameron Melson, Will Funderburg. Here's the battle of the trenches there, Mark.
Seems that early strategy by head coach Trey Wolf is to try to assert some dominance on the line using that big offensive front. Ground level, the inside handoff, nothing fancy, just man on man.
All right, a 3rd and 7. There you see big number 75, Blake Bishop, also on that play defensively for the Spartans. 3rd and 7. Harvin looks right side, thrown and in and out of the hands of Bernard George. It was actually thrown a little bit high, and George tipped it. Almost could have had one of the defenders get that one on the tip.
George was actually open by about 7 yards in the secondary of GAC. Ball, as you mentioned, a bit overthrown, as you'll get a look at the replay from ground level. The delivery, enough protection, just weren't able to hook up.
Funderburg wanted to make sure that Harvin knew he was there. Here's Harvin's punt. Back deep to receive is number 28, Joseph Thomas, the fair catch at the 38-yard line, and that's where the Spartans will take over 1st and 10.
We'll take early note, Jim, in this 3rd quarter of drive starts. Greater Atlanta Christian taking advantage of that defensive stand. They will start this next drive with excellent position at the 38-yard line.
And there you see Dad talking to his son, Jeremy Chupp, sending him out on the field as the offense goes to work for the Spartans.
He's got to say, son, look downfield for your brother.
Boy, I'll tell you what, they've hooked up a number of times this season, too. 1st and 10 for Greater Atlanta Christian. 2 wide out to the right side. Chuck, big pitch, looks left side, and has number 28, Joseph Thomas. Thomas 45-40. Thomas inside the 40-yard line down to about the 37. Stopped by number 41, Octavius Balcom, and Balcom makes another saving tackle.
An excellent catch and run by Thomas, but watch the ball fake by Chupp, who sells the fake by concealing the ball, rolling to the left, and making an accurate throw to the sideline.
And there's Balcom coming from your left side of your screen, knocks him out of bounds. 1st and 10 for Greater Atlanta Christian. Will mark it at the 37. That's his first completion of the day, by the way. There you see his numbers on the day for Jeremy Chupp. 10 minutes and counting to go in the 3rd quarter. Chupp back to pass. No, it's a draw play to Micah Andrews, and he's stopped cold immediately by number 55, Marcus World. What a play by Marcus.
Marcus with the all-worlds play catches Andrews right at the shoulder pads and has enough strength to stop his forward progress. Watch the arm strength, just tossing Andrews to the turf.
That's when all that work in the weight room pays off.
But the good news for Greater Atlanta Christian, Jim, is the fact that they've got that pass completion under their belts. It will actually help to open up the run game.
2nd and 14 on the 4-yard loss by Andrews for Greater Atlanta Christian. 2 wide outs, 1 split each way. And the fake handoff to Andrews. Chuck looks right, has a man. That's number 35, Brandon Sutherland. And Sutherland is brought down by number 39 of Early County, and that's Joseph Threadcraft.
Brandon Sutherland, you get a look at him there. He doubles as a linebacker, makes the catch in space, and then he's looking for someone to hit just like a linebacker. Catches, turns, and I'm going to put my shoulder down and get downfield.
correct that on the defensive play. You see Sean Harris is actually making the play for Early County.
Third down and short this time for GAC.
And there you see the third down conversions today. Both teams are even in that category. Now you got a flag. Could be another illegal substitution coming up.
They're pointing to the Early County side of the field. We'll sort this one out. Looks like one of the players for Early County has something wrong with his equipment.
There's no penalty. The lineman had another mouthpiece in. No flag.
Referee Gary Lee with the call. There you see the Northeast Georgia Officials Association taking care of this one. And they've all done a great job, including Ricky Smith, Andy Dawson, Doug Wyrock, Larry Sorrells, and Jeffrey Jones. We appreciate their hard work here at the Georgia Dome during the AA semifinal.
So he said he had another mouthpiece in. Does that mean he had one that belonged to someone else or what?
Exactly. 3rd and 3. Well, I don't know. 3rd and 3. Here's Chuck. And the pitch left side, Micah Andrews crosses over the 30, has a first down to the 20.
There he goes.
Open field, touchdown, Micah Andrews.
Yes, that's what they've been waiting for on the GAC sideline. As Andrews hit the corner, working against linebacker Jermaine Mells. He gave Mells a little shake, the little bake, and got to the sideline and all the way into the end zone for GAC.
30-yard touchdown run by Micah Andrews, and now Barrett Santee is on to kick the extra point. There's the snap, the hold, the kick is up, and it's good. And GAC has evened the score with Early County at 7, and Micah Andrews is a much happier running back.
The thing about this run, Jim, is that once he evades Jermaine Mells, as you get a look at the replay, here's the pitch to Andrews. He gets around Mells, and from here on, it's clear sailing. He just tips into the end zone. No one's going to catch him. He looks back a couple of times, gives you a little high step, and politely steps into the end zone.
One great cutback, and that's all it took. Here it is again.
Ground level. Watch number 51, Mells. He thinks he has the angle, but Andrews is gone.
Just like Daddy. Good run by Micah. And there he is. There's the scoring drive. 4 plays, 62 yards. Of course, Andrews caps it off with a 30-yard touchdown run. Barrett Santee to kick it off for Greater Atlanta Christian. And there is that proud daddy. Look at him. I mean, he's enjoying himself over there.
Go ahead and signal touchdown, Big Will.
There you go. He might have to join the cheerleaders out there.
Talking to William Andrews before the game, the most intriguing thing that he said, I want my son to just get out there and have fun.
Sean Harris is back deep to receive for Early County, as is number 20, Jeremy Favors. And here's the kick. It's on script kick on the ground, fielded by number 21. That's Bernard George. George crosses over the 35. George still on his feet. And finally brought down by number 35 of Greater Atlanta Christian, Brannon Sutherland.
One of the first players downfield for GAC, Frank Dominowski, listed as a safety. As you get a look at the line drive kick, Dominowski's number 41. He evades that tackle, picks up a nice gain.
Bobcats have it 1st and 10 at their own 37-yard line. We're tied at 7 from the Dome. There's a good shot at Joel Harvin, the quarterback of the Bobcats. Now the handoff goes to number 20. That's Jeremy Favors. Fumble. Loose ball picked up by the Spartans. That's Joseph Thomas. Thomas returns it to the 5. He's in for the score. What a play by Joseph Thomas.
And just like that, GAC, which has trailed all afternoon, takes a lead on the fumble, recovery, and turnover touchdown.
Jeremy Thomas, a 32-yard return for the touchdown. The Spartans take their first lead of the day at 13-7. Credit the numbers on Thomas for the year.
Credit GAC making the hit on the corner that forced the fumble.
And in to attempt the extra point is Barrett Santee. So just like that, lightning strikes. And Greater Atlanta Christian with the lead. Santee connects on the extra point, and GAC now leads 14-7. So in a matter of about 2 minutes or less, Greater Atlanta Christian scores 2 touchdowns, and they have the lead.
The play coming this way, Early County trying to get to the outside. Watch the hit made. Looked like number 35 for GAC that got in on the tackle, Sutherland, forced the fumble. Sutherland does the dirty work. Joseph Thomas makes the run.
And a good run indeed.
Ground level. Once again, here's the handoff. Look at the ball. The runner has it in the inside hand. Fumble comes out. GAC's going the other way. We saw receivers, running backs yesterday, Jim, switch hands to get that ball to the outside away from contact. The running back this time gets contact from that inside.
Eric Schultz is going to kick it off for Greater Atlantic Christian. And there you see Thomas on the sideline getting a breather. And here's the script kick. And this one's going to go all the way back near the goal line. Fielded by number 29, Sean Harris. Harris tries to escape some tacklers and is finally brought down at the 7-yard line. Good pursuit by the Spartans.
What a difference some points make to GAC. Its defense now is fired up. They're running on the field. They were dragging just a bit in that second quarter, but you can see the change in body language on the 2 sudden scores.
So the Bobcats go back to work. Joel Harvin has been a leader all throughout the regular season, and I think they're going to look to him a lot more right now. What do you think, Mark?
Early County will probably stay with that wing T offense, though, at this point on the field. I don't expect them to open it up until they get out towards the 40.
So Harvin leads the offense on. 1st and 10 from their own 7. Harvin looks downfield, throws it long, has a man. The pass is complete to number 29, Harris, and he's gone. Sean Harris is going to score, and Early County has tied this game up. It's actually 14-13, of course. A 92-yard touchdown pass from Joel Harvin to Sean Harris.
Like I was saying, look for Early County to do something conservative on the next play.
Yeah, there you go. And just like that, they're within a point. Boy, are they excited on the sidelines for Sean Harris. And a great pass by Joel Harvin. Adrian Thompson in to attempt the extra point.
Some coaches refer to this as the polecat formation, lining up the entire offensive line to the left of center. They bring them back tight now.
Here's the snap, the hold by Harvin. The kick by Thompson is blocked, and that could play big down the stretch, as we noticed a couple of times yesterday in the ball games. Tyler Fletcher, I believe, number 7 for Greater Atlantic Christian, got a hand on it. And so Greater Atlantic Christian still leads at 14-13.
And the funny thing about that last point after touchdown, it wasn't so much blocked as it was just a very low kick. As we get a look at the replay, the ball fake inside by Harvin and the deep throw downfield. Look at the catch in coverage. The defensive back just tried to shield the receiver from the ball. Perfectly thrown. And all of a sudden, we've got another score for Early County and a 1-point ball game.
Here it is again from the low angle end zone shot.
Watch the angle of the defensive back for GAC, number 14. That's Jeremy Chupp, basically trying to face guard, but not looking back for the football.
Look at the quarterback. Harvin took a hit, but then he's looking at this thing going, oh, yeah, I like this.
You feel no pain after you complete one like that. You just bounce back up and go downfield for some extra congratulations.
He has no idea he got hit, but here's the missed extra point. Harvin's the hold, and, of course, Thompson with the kick.
It was just a line drive.
And there's your scoring play. This one was easy to figure out. One play, 92 yards. Here's the kickoff, and fielded by Micah Andrews at the 1-yard line. As we're back to live action here at the Georgia Dome.
Micah a bit indecisive on that last kickoff. Might have been expecting the ball to continue to bounce toward the end zone. It actually stopped or was slowing down at about the 3 by the time he picked it up. Early County's pursuit was right there inside the 10-yard line. So on this next drive, GAC will be in trouble.
They actually mark it, it looks like, almost at the 3-yard line, so that's where Greater Atlantic Christian will have it, 1st and 10, led by quarterback Jeremy Chupp. Now, of course, you mentioned earlier that, you know, the Chupp brothers maybe should start hooking up. So maybe we can look for something here. Here's Chupp, and the pass complete to number 28, Joseph Thomas. And Thomas is shoved Out of bounds by number 29, and that's Sean Harris.
A well-conceived play, trying to throw to the slot man inside of the wide receiver, trying to throw the block downfield. They pick up considerable yardage on first down, about 8 yards.
How's that, guys? Scoring frenzy, they title this one. I like that, guys, in the truck. 3 touchdowns, 41 seconds. Tell you what, lightning struck quick.
A game which has had a very easy and leisurely pace all of a sudden explodes.
2nd and 1 for Greater Atlanta Christian. Jump, handoff, Andrews has a first down.
Loses that
for the
helmet.
Spartans.
Second time this game we've seen Andrews lose the helmet, but credit his leg drive for picking up the first down.
Great stop by number 41, Octavius Balcom, and Balcom has been everywhere today.
He disappears into the pile. Now watch the legs keep moving. And there goes the hat.
Balcom had him tangled up. It almost looked like Balcom could be a wrestler. There you see Micah Andrews. Had a big touchdown for Greater Atlanta Christian.
But Octavius, if he turns into a wrestler, he needs a nickname.
I'm sure he can think of one. 1st and 10 for the Spartans, and a fake handoff, and Jeremy Trupp is in trouble. Sacked behind the line of scrimmage by number 55, Marcus Worlds. Marcus just blew his way through the offensive line.
Worlds just over tackle, just dominated Will Funderburg, who couldn't get a clear shot on him. He makes the sack, and GAC is backed up once again, bringing up a 2nd and long.
2nd and 14 to be exact for the Spartans. Clock is ticking, 6:24 and counting. Left 3rd period. 2 setbacks, 2 wideouts, 1 split left, 1 split to the right. On 2nd and 14. And now we have a flag.
The entire Early County defensive front pointing for motion against GAC.
I think that vote was unanimous.
Look at the interior linemen. They're all pointing at
Dead
the
ball foul.
left guard for
Ball still
GAC.
on the offense remains 2nd down.
Gary Lee, your referee for today's game. There's Coach Chupp on the sidelines with his players.
You don't have to pick up this first down in one play. Coach Chupp may have it divided into 2 10-yard chunks.
2nd and 19 for the Spartans. Chupp back to pass in his own end zone. Looks outside, has a man. Joseph Thomas overthrows him. And it's going to set up a 3rd and 19.
Greater Atlanta Christian also had Mark Naus free in the middle of the field, about 10 yards beyond anyone. The play was designed to come to the near side. Naus may go to the sideline and talk to head coach Jimmy Chupp and say, okay, coach, let's run that again.
Now, meantime, on the other side of the ball for Early County, this is the big play.
Big play for their defense. Watch for the line play. They've been dominant at points in this game.
And that field position will play big if they can hold them here. 3rd and 19. Micah Andrews in motion. Chupp, 2-step drop, looks downfield, tries to get Andrews, overthrown and incomplete. Bernard George was there on the coverage.
Trying to get Andrews one-on-one on Bernard George, who had deep responsibility. No one else was back in the safety position for Early County, but the ball is overthrown.
So a 4th and 19 now. And a little pressure on the punter now, Barrett Santee. He's going to have to kick it away from deep in his end zone.
And he may have to rush that first plant step because he has a very slow delivery before the point of contact.
Bernard George back at about the 40-yard line of GAC, and this is a good kick by Santee, and George is fielded exactly in the right spot, but he fumbles the football, and GAC might have this one. They do. The Spartans recover the fumble, and it looks like Micah Andrews.
Just like they drew it up on the blackboard. If you can't get anything generated on offense, just punt it deep and wait for the fumble.
Micah Andrews, a big offensive play, and now a big play on special teams. There's the fumble, and there's Micah Andrews. There's the loose ball, and he just tucks it right underneath them.
Give credit to Jermaine Ogden, the first player downfield. Let me change that. Eric Griffin, first player downfield for GAC. that may have forced the return man to take his eye off the ball just a hair enough. There he is, number 24, coming into your screen. The fumble and the recovery.
Great camera work by our crew, as usual. 1st and 10 for Greater Atlanta Christian at the 38. Micah Andrews up the middle, spin move, gets over across the 45-yard line. Finally brought down by number 74, Corey Kegler.
There are running backs that can be characterized by a variety of moves, and it seems the spin is Micah's move of choice. That time in traffic picks up 7 yards on the first down.
I'll tell you what, Micah Andrews got to be a tired young man.
But it's a lot easier being tired when you're playing with a lead.
Yes, sir. 2nd and 3. There's Jeremy Chupp. Good shot at the quarterback. Chupp, big pitch, handoff inside, and oh boy, Brandon Sunderland was just covered immediately. And there you see big number 55, Marcus World says, oh no, not my way, you're not going to go.
Marcus World's playing all world. Watch the pursuit as he's in almost on the handoff in the backfield of GAC.
He almost looked like he was going to take the handoff. He's playing himself a ball game.
When you see linemen in reaction drills, I would imagine Marcus World is at the top of the class, working off of the center, number 53 of GAC, Underwood.
3rd and 5 for the Spartans at the 43-yard line. Chupp, fake handoff, Andrews rolls right, in trouble, and down goes Chupp. Great defensive play by number 7, Nick George, who was all over Chupp right after he faked the handoff.
Nick George actually in there trying to rip the ball away from Chupp. Surprised that he had enough strength. Watch the ball fake inside. The pursuit, number 7, George, comes in, grabs the jersey. The 2nd man in. Fortunate there wasn't a fumble on that play.
There you see the numbers for Nick George on the season. Nick, of course, is a senior. Punting the ball away will be Barrett Santee. And back deep for Early County is number 21, Bernard George. Now we got a stoppage of play. Timeout has been called by Greater Atlanta Christian as you see Coach Chupp heading out to the field to talk to his players.
I like that strategy a lot better. Some coaches bring their entire teams to the sideline. This time Chupp doesn't make his punt team come to the sideline. He goes out there to meet them.
Coming up later on today on Georgia Public Television, the semifinals roll on from the Georgia Dome with the 3A semi. Screven County and Gainesville, the Gamecocks and the Red Elephants. That's at 3 p.m. starting on GPTV at that time. Then following the 3A, it's the 4A semifinal at 6 o'clock between Shaw and Thompson, the Raiders and the Bulldogs. And then the big one, the 5A semifinal tonight. Brookwood and Camden County, they kick it off, we hope, at 9 o'clock after last night's performances. Broncos and the Wildcats. The winner of this one gets the lucky time to spend with Parkview next weekend in the 5A championship.
Interesting thing, the games ran so long last night. We only had about 8 hours between the last game last night and the first game this morning.
All right, here we go. 3.5 to go on a 4th and 15, and Santee's going to punt it away for Greater Atlanta Christian. Back deep is George, and he loses the football. George does on the 28th, then picks it up, 30-yard line, goes outside and out of bounds near the 37-yard line, knocked out of bounds by Micah Andrews. So Micah's everywhere.
Bernard George on the last punt, you can see the muff, picks it up and gets to the sideline. Player behind him, number 24, Jermaine Ogden, threw a block and they just innocently raised both hands as if to say, I didn't get him from behind, ref.
Wants to make sure of that. No clipping calls. 1st and 10 coming up for Early County at the 39-yard line. And now the Bobcats want to talk it over. So the Bobcats and the Spartans here in the AA semifinal. Of course, the winner of this one will play the Buford Wolves next weekend in the AA championship because Buford beat Americus yesterday 38-12. Dexter Wood had that team ready to go.
I think the most challenging adjustment for these teams after playing a weekend in the very comfortable and climate-controlled dome, they've now got to play their final games back in the elements. And in mid-December, as you know, in Atlanta, it can be around the state, it can be very unpredictable.
You betcha. Hey, Mark, I want to tell you, don't miss great outdoor adventure on GPTV Original Series. Great outdoors. From rock climbing to scuba diving, you'll discover adventure that's fun to watch and filled with helpful outdoor tips. That's Georgia Outdoors, Friday nights at 7 and Saturdays at 6, exclusively on GPTV. Not quite warm enough for me to do some of that stuff outside in Georgia, as you were mentioning some of these cold temperatures. It's going to be interesting next weekend, though, covering the state championships, the 4A and 5A on GPTV. The 4A, of course, on Friday night, and the 5A on Saturday night. Talk about cold temperatures. Sometimes we've had cold temperatures, sometimes we've had rain. You just never know what to expect. Here's your first downs on the day. Early County with the edge. And with the ball. 1st and 10, and the handoff goes right side, Darius Williams. And Williams tries to turn the corner, can't quite. And stopped by a number of Spartans, including number 7, Tyler Fletcher.
You can see Darius Williams trying to get a read along the line of scrimmage as he's running parallel. Not much doing, as Greater Atlanta Christian really had the play strung out well. Stopped him for about a 1-yard gain.
Nothing wrong with the outside elements, though, as far as that weather goes. I'll tell you, we enjoy it. Covering those ball games. Clock ticking, 2:47 remaining, third quarter. Harvin, 3-step drop, fires right side, has a man, that's Sean Harris. And Harris steps out of bounds. Coverage by number 7, Tyler Fletcher.
The personality of Early County's offense is to put the ball up, but they'll put it up short, safe routes, sometimes using those wing backs as the key receivers. An interesting call now coming up for Trey Wolf, a 3rd and about 3.5.
And they have it at their own 46-yard line. Got to get to about the 49 for a first down. Trey cheering on his team. 2nd and 3. Handoff. And running around the left side is Darius Williams. Williams crosses over the 50-yard line, has a first down and more for Early County. Stopped by number 35, Brandon Sutherland.
Jim Nouse for GAC was actually the player that had the first shot at him in the backfield. Watch Nouse, number 44, make the penetration. He thought he had an angle, and just that bit of a hesitation gave the running back from Early County, Darius Williams, enough time to get outside.
So a first down and a 1st and 10 for Early County. Inside GAC territory at about the 47-yard line. There's Joel Harvin, the quarterback of the Bobcats. And the handoff goes right side to number 33. That's Dan Foster. And Foster picks up a couple of yards on first down. Foster's already had a big game today. A block, punt, and now doing well on offense.
The magic word is big. Early County now trying to assert its dominance on that offensive wall. Once again, as they did in the second quarter, really just trying to wear down GAC.
As the Bobcats come to the line, look at that helmet. Taking a couple of hits. 2nd and 8. Harvin, 3-step drop, looks, fires, has a man. That's Williams. And Williams gets to about the 41, maybe mark it at the 40-yard line. That'll set up a short 3rd and 3.
Dangerous throw in traffic. Watch the reaction of linebacker Brandon Sutherland from ground level. Was very close to getting a hand on that ball. He's number 35 for Greater Atlanta Christian. Look at the eyes of the linebacker right there on coverage.
There's Harvin, and after he lets go of that ball, he takes a shot right there. 3rd and 3 for the Bobcats. Coming up on a minute left, 3rd period. Harvin, handoff Williams. Tries to go up the middle and is stopped immediately by number 67, Cameron Nelson, and also number 28, Joseph Thomas.
Nelson flashing that closing speed to get a hand in on the running back. Nelson's number 67. Watch the speed and the hit right at the line of scrimmage. The decals. It's all about the decals. Look at that helmet. Top to bottom just about.
Each one representing a great play made by Cameron Nelson. Big 4th and 2 now for Early County. Harvin, handoff up the middle, and that's Dan Foster, and I don't think he's got it.
Judging by the spot, he will come up about a half-yard shy. Made an excellent effort on the second surge right in the middle of the field, but as it stands, GAC will take over on downs.
Good stand by the GAC defense. And the Spartan offense comes on the field.
Just about enough time to run a play and start the fourth quarter.
That's about it. So 1 point after the difference in this one, as GAC leads at 14-13. 1st and 10 for the Spartans at their own 39-yard line. Quarterback for GAC is Jeremy Chuck. Jeremy looks at left side. Micah Andrews turns the corner. Micah Andrews on loose. He's at the 40, 45, 30. Micah Andrews gets down inside the 25-yard line to about the 23-yard line, and a stop. Look at that. You think he's proud of Micah or what? A 37-yard run by Andrews, stopped by LeCedric Brown.
Downfield, number 9, Kevin McDonald, wide receiver, was just minding his own business. He turns around, and all of a sudden, Micah Andrews is running up his back. He decides to throw a block way downfield. Here's Andrews on the sweep pitch. Look at the stride, the moves, and the block at the end.
Unbelievable. I'll tell you what, he's got some speed, just like Dad.
William Andrews, number 31 on your program, number 1 in your heart.
That's the end of the third quarter. GAC with the lead over Early County, 14-13. 4 fingers are up for the fourth quarter. It's coming up next. Welcome back to the Georgia Dome. You see the Spartan cheerleaders. They're awfully happy at the moment as GAC leads at 14-13. Mark, we were talking earlier about Micah Andrews' speed. We'll have to pick up on that later on in the broadcast. He's been something else. 1st and 10 for GAC. Chuck up the middle. Hand off to Brandon Sutherland. Sutherland fights his way for maybe a couple of yards. The stop by number 51, Jermaine Mells.
Sutherland is the power back. There are 2 kinds of runners, Jim. Those that pound their way downfield, kind of stomping down the way. And then there are players that kind of glide and open up that track stride and put Andrews in that second category. When he opens up, he's gone. Doesn't look like he's moving that fast, but he can separate.
The secret, I guess, is if Early County can stop him on the corner, that's all they have to do.
Have to stop before he gets turned upfield.
2nd down for GAC. Chuck, pitch right side. Micah Andrews spin move, and is still brought down. Nice tackle by Octavius Malcolm, number 41.
Even though he is stopped for about a loss of 4 yards, give Andrews credit for making the catch on the pitch that was behind him. Watch where this pitch goes to Andrews in traffic. Makes the catch. Tries to spin away from the first tackler. But Octavius Malcolm's not hearing anything of that. Malcolm, number 41. Who looks him eye to eye.
Octavius has been everywhere on the field today. Big 3rd and 13 now for GAC at the 26-yard line of Early County. Chuck on the option pitch. Micah Andrews left side, and he is tackled immediately by number 33, Dan Foster.
Dan Foster's had an outstanding game this afternoon from his linebacker position, making penetration, wrapping up on Andrews, and preventing any kind of gain on that play. Watch number 33 break down and make the tackle.
Good play by Foster as he stayed with Micah Andrews.
Coaches like to teach proper technique all the time, and one of the hardest things to do is get a tackler to actually get in position where your knees are flexed, your shoulders are squared up, and you're ready to make and deliver a hit.
Barrett Santee to attempt a 43-yard field goal for GAC. This will test his leg right here. And we have a flag on the field, and this might be a delay of game. Yes, that's exactly what it is against the Spartans.
Remains 4th down.
This may change the strategy on whether or not to attempt the field goal.
Yeah, 43-yarder becomes a 48-yarder just like that.
They're going to swap out place kicking for punting. GAC, that is.
So Santee is still going to kick, only this time it's going to be a punt.
The return man for Early County is Bernard George, who's had some difficulty looking up into the roof and fielding these punts cleanly.
There's George, standing back at his own 5. There's a fake by GAC, and George comes up with the interception at the 12-yard line. Jeremy Chuck threw it downfield looking for a receiver, and George picked it off.
You can see George react as a safety would in deep coverage as the ball was thrown deep downfield. A little trickeration by GAC, but it really has the net effect of a deep punt.
I was just going to say, Mark, that's probably, just as good as a great punt. George, in this case, probably should just drop the ball. But, when that ball's coming right at you on a pass play, you're not thinking about dropping the ball. You're thinking about intercepting and returning it.
Also credit the hit by Nick George on the attempted passer.
1st and 10 to 13 for the Bobcats. Handoff comes at you right side. That's number 20, Jeremy Favors. Favors is known for his speed. He's the quick back for Early County.
It's early in the 4th quarter. Well, let's sneak a peek every now and then and look at the game clock, which is now running at 9 minutes and 22 seconds. With both teams being run heavy, the 4th quarter could be played at a very quick pace.
A 2nd and 9 for Early County at the 14-yard line. Harvin in the shotgun. Takes the snap, rolls left, looks for a receiver, has a man, fires over the head of number 29, Sean Harris. Defending on the play was number 10, Joseph Chupp, and number 44, Jim Nouse for Greater Atlanta Christian. That's going to set up a 4th and 9.
Joseph Thomas of GAC wanted a hold against Eldrick Coleman, who was trying to keep him away from the quarterback on that last pass attempt.
Check that, I said 4th and 9. It's going to set up a 3rd and 9 for Early County. Here you saw some shots of the linemen for Greater Atlanta Christian. There's the day for Joel Harvin, 6 of 12 for 131 and a touchdown. Fake handoff, Harvin in trouble in the backfield, fires downfield, has a man just over the head of number 21, Bernard George, and Harvin took a hit on that play.
Credit the pressure brought by Cameron Melson of Greater Atlanta Christian on the rollout. Melson is number 67, plays up a block and gets a hand on the quarterback, forcing that throw to the outside.
And there you see, just thrown over the... What a shot there by number 7, Tyler Fletcher, with the wake-up call on Harvin. Harvin back to punt for Early County. And this punt is fielded at the 44 by Joseph Thomas, a fair catch, and that's where GAC will go on defense against Early County's offense led by Joel Harvin. GAC will go on offense.
Efficient catch by Joseph Thomas on that last knuckleball punt that was just sailing at the 44.
Don't forget, you can become a member of Georgia Public Television today just by visiting our website at www.gpb.org. It's totally secure, simple to use, and just takes 2 minutes of your time. I even figured it out. Show your support of high school sports programming on GPTV by visiting www.gpb.org, and thanks for your support of GPTV. Greater Atlanta Christian, a 1st and 10 on the 44-yard line. led by Jeremy Chupp at quarterback. He looks downfield, has a man, and this one is out of bounds, intended for his brother, Joseph Chupp. There he is, number 10.
Jeremy that time with a short two-step drop, trying to hit his brother on the fade down the sideline. The ball comes right into your living room. A nice spiral, but out of bounds.
I wonder how many times these guys practiced that play in their backyard. Darius Williams was there on the coverage.
I can just see Dad up on the porch saying, no, make that other cut. Go that way.
Second down for GAC. Two wideouts to the left side, two setbacks in the backfield, including Micah Andrews, who gets the toss. Here's Andrews cut right side and tackled and pushed out of bounds by number 21, Bernard George. Good defensive play by George.
That was simply a case of Micah Andrews using his speed on the outside to get the corner. Gets the pitch very deep. And watch how he tries to get to the sideline, open that stride up, put a little stiff arm at the end, working against Bernard George. About 2 yards shy of a first down, and here are his totals.
Not a bad day for Micah Andrews. Started off a little slow, and then picked it up in the late second quarter, and especially here in the second half. 25 carries for a $152. 3rd and 2 for GAC at the 36-yard line. Chupp with the pitch to Micah Andrews, and Micah Andrews has a first down and more for the Spartans.
Andrews demonstrating why, if you look up the Great Atlanta Christian running record book, his name is behind most of the significant records on the ground. Picks up a first down for Great Atlanta Christian.
And this one's going to come right at you in your living room. Nice run by Micah Andrews.
Just a little bit bow-legged, just like his dad was.
I'm glad you said that, not me. Oh, my goodness. First and 10 for GAC at the 30-yard line as the Spartans get a drive going here. Chupp, handoff up the middle to big number 35, Brandon Sutherland.
You know those bow-legged guys are hard to bring down. It helps us balance.
Jermaine Mells, number 51, on the stop for Early County. Is that how it is?
That's how it is.
It's fun having the ex-Falcons here, former Falcons. You got 31, William Andrews, number 42, then came in after him in Atlanta, and that was, of course, Gerald Riggs, and he'll be joining us later on in the 5A broadcast. 2nd and 9 for GAC at the 29. Chupp pitches, and this is Micah Andrews, and he's tripped up in the backfield, and a good defensive play by Patrick Rackens, number 37.
Micah stays in bounds. The clock continues to run. We're nearing the 7-minute mark in this ball game.
And if you notice, Brackens was actually pushed, blocked into Micah Andrews. There you see it right there on the replay. Trey Wolf and the coaches hoping that they can hold the Greater Atlanta Christian offense and get the ball back. 3rd down conversions today. There you see the story, and this is a big 3rd and 11 coming up.
No safety for Early County.
Chupp drops back to pass, looks downfield, might have a chance for his brother here. No, instead it's intended for, looked like McDonald maybe, but the play was broken up by Bernard George. Actually, the intended receiver was number 44, Jim Nouse, for Greater Atlanta Christian.
The problem for GAC is that they had 2 receivers running routes about 5 yards apart, which bunched up the coverage for Early County. Once the coverage was drawn to the area, the pass was really no danger of being completed. As you can look at head coach Jimmy Chupp on the sideline for GAC, still with a smile on his face.
Still with the smile, and you're always going to see that smile on Coach Chupp's face. Always has that positive attitude, and that reinforces positive action from his players all the time. 4th and 11 from the shotgun, and look at this, Chupp.
Quick kick.
A little quick kick, and it goes into the end zone. And so Early County will have it at their own 20-yard line.
You can see Jeremy Chupp just hold his helmet with both hands after that kick, knowing that he didn't get what he wanted. If you're going to try the quick kick, you want to get more elevation or try to get to the sideline. That time it goes through the end zone, so the net of that last play is only about 11 or 12 yards for GAC.
Here you see Coach Chupp on the sidelines. Some of the fans a little nervous as we get down to near the 6-minute mark. Both schools rooting for both sides of the field have the fans from their towns rooting for their teams.
And as we saw yesterday, the fans are standing.
1st and 10 from the 20-yard line for Early County. Harvin looks downfield, has a man, complete to number 5, Darius Williams. And the stop by number 14. Check that. Stop by number 24, Eric Griffin.
Griffin actually had pretty good coverage on that out pattern that Early County is trying to run and get to the sideline. They're thinking clock. We're now under 6 minutes in this ball game.
And a big 2nd and 3 for the Bobcats. Down by 1. Harvin, your quarterback. Fumble in the backfield, and GAC looks like they have it. They do.
Not due to contact, simply came away from center. The ball slipped out of his hand as he was thinking about making the handoff, and GAC takes over on a gift turnover.
Big number 77, Will Funderburg, sees the loose ball on the ground and pounces on it right there.
Just coming away from center. Didn't see if anyone kicked it. Just didn't get a handle on this snap. As he turns, Greater Atlanta Christian makes the recovery.
Big turn of events as GAC takes over on offense, 1st and 10. There are your turnovers and the points off of them. And GAC on 1 turnover picked up 7 points on Early County. 1st and 10 at the 26. Chuck, handoff. This is Micah Andrews, and he battles his way inside the 20-yard line to the 19, stopped by number 29, Sean Harris.
Unlike in the first half, where Early County dominated the line of scrimmage on the last play, GAC had 8 offensive linemen in the play, allowing Micah Andrews to pick up about 4. A player is down at the end of that play.
That's number 76, Chris Sharp, down on the field for Greater Atlanta Christian, and there you go. The players are down on the knee. Hoping this player is okay. Big number 76, the offensive tackle, Chris Sharp. He stands at 6'3", 240.
The same sportsmanship that GAC demonstrated for Early County in the first half, they demonstrate for their own player as they huddle up.
There you see Micah Andrews' numbers on the day. An impressive day by Micah. And of course, we've been showing you Dad all day long in the stands. He's very proud of his son, Micah. There you see the players still on their knees as they hope Chris Sharp is going to be okay.
Sharp made 1 attempt to get up, and then trainers got him back into a prone position on the field. He's right at about the 22-yard line, so we've had a bit of a delay here to try to sort this one out.
Mark, they really are kind of like a big family. I mean, everybody spends so much time together. You think about like everybody that has their regular work schedule. The family, we normally, when we go to a regular job, we spend a lot of time with the regular folks on a 40-hour week, and they become kind of a family. It's the same thing here with football players. They spend a lot of time practicing together and playing games, and there you see big number 76, Chris Sharp, on his feet and feeling much better. There he is, and we're happy for Chris.
Well, Coach Jimmy Chupp talks about the support system that he tries to develop for his players. This is a system that takes advantage of players that start playing together at a very young age. They stay together, and they develop that sense of family.
2nd and 4 at the 19-yard line for GAC. Jeremy Chupp, your quarterback. 2 setbacks, including Micah Andrews, the deep back. Here he is, gets the handoff, and he is tied up immediately by number 55, your favorite, Marcus Worlds.
Marcus Worlds, once again, showing the penetration. He's actually able to make that step into the backfield, get a spy on the play, and the times that they have been most effective, Early County that is, look at the defensive surge. How many blue jerseys are actually in the backfield of Greater Atlanta Christian?
Very quick is the defense of Early County.
It's a very aggressive philosophy also. Most coaches teach read and react. Early County, they say, go ahead, blow through the line of scrimmage and get into that backfield.
3rd and 5 as you look at Jeremy Chupp. And the pitch to Micah Andrews again. He breaks loose, across the 20 to about the 16-yard line, and this one's going to be close to a first down. The stop by number 5, Darius Williams.
All you can say is dangerous. One player down on the field at about the 20-yard line that had a shot at Andrews, Dan Foster. You'll get a shot at Foster. Here's the replay. Nice blocking up front. Foster just gets kicked a bit by Andrews as he's going downfield. Fortunately, he wasn't hurt. We're going to bring the chains in. See if he picked up enough for that first down.
This one's going to be close. What do you think?
I didn't get a good read on this one. I'm going to defer on this one.
Oh, boy, I'll tell you what.
I deferred.
Looks like it's a first down for GAC.
Yeah, it looks like a first down.
Of course, our statistician right here in the booth called that right away, giving me the signal for first down, just like a referee.
Let's watch time. 4 minutes and 18 seconds. GAC will be comfortable to keep this ball inside the hash mark.
And more importantly, they keep the ball as the time keeps running down. First and 10 for the Spartans at the 16-yard line. Chuck, handoff. This is Andrews again. 10-yard line. Look at him dancing around those defenders and gets down to the 2-yard line. He fumbled the ball, but the referee said he was already down. Micah Andrews with a 14-yard gain down to the 2-yard line.
Dance is a great word. Watch how he uses his footwork and the hips to shift the move all the way down to the 2-yard line. Watch the hips on Andrews on this next carry. Whoop, right there. Step, step. See those bow legs? That's what bow legs come in handy.
You said it. First and goal for the Spartans. I got a funny feeling this might be Andrews. Handoff, Micah Andrews, straight up the middle, trying to fight his way through. Marcus World says, no way. Big number 55. There you see him for Early County.
The thing you also got to love about Micah Andrews, Jim, is the decisiveness. As soon as he took that last handoff, he planted his left foot and made the cut right into the middle of the field. Not much there, but picked up a bit of a slice of yardage.
He's trying to get a little bit more oxygen so he can be ready for the next play. Mike has done a lot of work today, both on offense and special teams. Under 3 minutes and counting. Second and goal for Greater Atlanta Christian. Chuck, handoff. Micah Andrews tackled in the backfield by Marcus World.
Penetration once again. Marcus World in the backfield by about 3 yards. How did he get there so fast?
Marcus has had Micah's number all day long.
Watch number 55. He's in the backfield. He just wraps up. I got you, big guy.
What a play. So GAC will have it at the 5-yard line now.
Also give
third and goal.
Give credit to Carell Richardson, who's in on that tackle for Early County.
Time running down. Chuck on third and goal. Pitches left side. Micah Andrews. And he can only get to about the 3-yard line. And the stop by number 5, Darius Williams. He tripped him up. And Micah has been busy.
Excellent play by Darius Williams. Comes up from his safety position, gets low, and makes a hit on Andrews before he can turn upfield.
And a timeout by Early County. There you see Coach Chupp of GAC coming on the field to talk about it. So you're up by 1, Mark Lassiter, and you have a 4th and goal at the 3. Make it the 4-yard line. What do? Do you kick a field goal and make it 4, or do you go for it?
Well, not to cast any negative words about anybody on the GAC roster, but they have struggled just a bit in the place-kicking game. I wouldn't be surprised to see them run the ball here on 4th down. There's more that can go wrong on a place-kicking attempt. So the run, if it's not successful, will give Early County the ball deep in its own territory.
We've had a lot of excitement at the Georgia Dome this weekend in the football semifinals. With all the games being played, I'll tell you what, it's been a lot of fun down here, Mark, and I expect a lot of big games coming up too.
I expect GAC to go, and I wouldn't be surprised to see them go to Brandon Sutherland, the big guy, the upback, number 35.
So here we go on a 4th and goal at the 4-yard line. It's Chubb. And the handoff, fake handoff to Micah Andrews, and a touchdown pass to Brandon Sutherland. Nice play call by Coach Chubb.
Like I was saying, give it to the big guy, Brandon Sutherland.
What a fake by Jeremy Chubb, and the whole defense was following Micah Andrews.
Chubb has one skill that has really aided him all afternoon, the ability to make a convincing ball fake. The entire Early County defense bit Sutherland wide open in the end zone, and he makes the catch for the touchdown.
Now, even though they have a 7-point lead right now, this is still a big extra point, because this will give them an 8-point lead, and that will force Early County, if they can score a touchdown, to go for 2 for a tie.
And Coach Jimmy Chubb gets another timeout so he can talk it over. Get a look at the replay. The ball fake with the free arm, and then the toss to a wide open Brandon Sutherland for GAC.
Look at that reaction by Jeremy Chubb. He knew it all the way.
Well,
and Sutherland getting a breather on the sidelines.
Let's reset. 2 minutes, 2 seconds remaining in this ball game. GAC is lining up for an apparent point after touchdown, which would give them
8-point lead. And that's big. So Barrett Santee is on to attempt the extra point for Greater Atlanta Christian.
Let's watch the hold.
Good hold. The kick is up, and it's good by Santee, and GAC has that 8-point lead, 21-13. So, like I was saying, Early County, now if they score a touchdown, they have to go for 2 in order to get that tie.
Early County has got to be thinking special teams. What you want is a decent return on this next kick. Santee is really not known for deep kickoffs. It'd be interesting to see where Early County decides to replace its deep return men.
Bobcats huddle up on the sidelines before the kickoff. Here you see some fans from Norcross supporting the boys from GAC. And I'll tell you what, it's turning into a big Gwinnett County battle for the AA state championship.
And the discussion once again about Gwinnett County's system of youth football, which actually serves as a feeder system for the high schools. These players have grown up together, they played together, and the results are shown with the representation of Gwinnett County in the semifinals.
There you see the scoring drive, 8 plays, 26 yards, and you're right about that, Mark Lassiter. I mean, Gwinnett County has had a booming population over the last 20 years, and it just keeps getting bigger and bigger, and that feeder program gets more popular each and every year. Here's the squib kick by Santee, and taken downfield by Sean Harris, and Harris is trying to break out of the pile but can't do it, and is brought down at the 32-yard line. That's where Early County will have its 1st and 10. That feeder program was actually started a long time ago, though, down south, a little school called Valdosta. Bobcats have been doing that for years and had a lot of success, as you know. 23 state championships and, of course, 6 national titles.
The challenge for Early County, as we're inside of 2 minutes, is to get this ball to the sideline. They really can't afford to run the middle of the field and allow the clock to continue to run. They're down to 1 timeout.
You know those 2-minute drills that they run in practice all week. See if it pays off now. Joel Harvin, your quarterback, in the shotgun, looks right, fires right side, has a man. That's number 21, Bernard George. George gets across the 40-yard line, and he's brought down by Tyler Fletcher.
Give credit to Sean Harris at about the 40-yard line, throwing a block on the side that afforded about an extra 5 yards. Early County with a no huddle.
And there you see only 1 timeout remaining for each team on a 1st and 10. Here's Harvin, looks downfield, has a man, and complete to number 5, Darius Williams. And Williams gets out of bounds. Big play call.
Working in front of Micah Andrews, who had deep coverage responsibility.
And remember, I was talking about that playing both sides. You know, you wonder if that's going to be affecting Micah late in the game.
Micah actually trying to get his footwear adjusted. May have come out of the heel of his shoe. But he's playing safety now for Greater Atlanta Christian.
And a 1st and 10 for the Bobcats. They're now at the GAC 41-yard line. There's Harvin in the shotgun. 3 wideouts, 2 to the right, looks right side, fires, has a man, and it's complete to number 29, Sean Harris. The stop by number 3, Micah Andrews.
Harris makes the catch. All the linemen for Early County back to the line of scrimmage.
No huddle. Clock continues to tick. 1:17 and counting. Harvin in the shotgun. 2nd and 4. Harvin drops back to pass. Looks left side. Has a man. That's number 5, Darius Williams. He goes out of bounds. Smart play by Williams out at the 25-yard line. Stops the clock with 1:08 to play.
Excellent timing pattern as the pass was delivered before Williams came out of his break to the sideline, stops the clock, and picks up a 1st down.
And, of course, knocked out of bounds by number 24, Eric Griffin. Bobcats have a chance to catch their breath, and now back to the line of scrimmage. 1st and 10 at the 25-yard line. Harvin still in the shotgun. Harvin drops back, looks for a receiver, fires right side, has a man off the fingertips of number 21, Bernard George. Thrown just a little bit high, Mark.
George working against Kevin McDonald of Great Atlanta Christian. McDonald just lowered his shoulder. Watch the replay. You'll see the attempted completion downfield. Watch the defensive back for GAC right here, right to the midsection.
That brings up a 2nd and 10 as Joel Harvin went to the sidelines for the play. Now he's going to tell his offensive unit, and now they're ready to go. The Bobcats approach the line of scrimmage for a big 2nd down and 10. And you see into the eyes of Joel Harvin. Harvin drops back, looks downfield, fires left side, has a man. That's Williams again. Smart play, makes the catch and goes right out of bounds at the 13-yard line. Stops the clock with 57 seconds to go.
You can tell this is a well-coached team. Trey Wolf has his team playing with a lot of confidence and poise under 2 minutes to go, working the sidelines effectively and not burning a lot of time.
Almost makes you wonder why they haven't been running the 2-minute drill the entire game.
Funny, sometimes players love to play more aggressively as opposed to the very passive running attack they've been accustomed to.
1st and 10 at the 13-yard line as the Early County offense is on the move. Harvin in shotgun. Drops back, looks, fires right side, has a man. There you go. That's Bernard George. George gets down to about the 5-yard line, does not get out of bounds, so the clock continues to move.
George
45 and ticking.
Needed to get out of bounds that time, working against 2 players.
Good defensive play by Jim Nouse on a 2nd and short now, and Harvin just throws the ball to the turf to stop the clock with 36 seconds to go. Joel Harvin's going to come to the sideline real quick and find out, okay, Coach, what do I call now? Meantime, here's the previous play.
The completion outside to George. He's working against 2 players, a little bit of a shake and bake move. Now, he could have gotten out of bounds, tried to at the last minute, scoots that ball across the white line, but the clock continued to move.
And so rather than having a 2nd and 2 now, they'll have a 3rd and 2 to the Bobcats. Harvin under center. And the handoff, this is Foster. And Foster doesn't get out of bounds either. He's to the 3-yard line. Clock continues to tick down, 27 and counting. And now the referees call a timeout, and I think because of a measurement.
From the spot, this is going to be very close. Now, from this angle, it looks as if Early County may come up just a bit short. Down on the field, you can see one of their linemen, Marcus Worrells. He not only gets it on the plays, he's going to signal 1st down as well. Here comes a very important measurement for Early County. They've got to get a play called and back to the line of scrimmage. It is short, in fact.
Not by much.
a couple of links of chain.
Fourth and inches.
They've got to get back to the line of scrimmage. The clock will restart as soon as the referees have it ready for play. Early County is still on the sideline.
They need to get out there pretty quick. Trey Wolf calls the play. Offense runs out there. You see the clock, and it's going to start moving any second now. There's the signal from the referee holding his hand up once he starts that wind. There he goes, and the clock is running at 25. Here's Harvin. And the quarterback sneaking, he can't get anywhere, but I'll tell you one thing, he's got the first down.
He's got
that will stop the clock.
That was the important part, Jim. Excellent point. So the chains don't have far to move to be reset. Early County once again has to get its entire offensive line set the instant the referees signal this ball ready for play.
There are your timeouts remaining, one for each team. Clock continues to run, 15, and Harvin slams the ball to the turf to stop the clock with 14 seconds to go.
Okay, you get a look at quarterback Joe Harvin of Early County. They've got to be thinking a sequence of at least 2 plays with 14 seconds remaining.
So it's on the 3-yard line, 2nd and goal for the Bobcats as Joel Harvin brings his team to the line of scrimmage. Harvin, handoff, Sean Harris looks to turn the corner left side. Harris gets down to about the 1-yard line and does not get out of bounds. Clock continues to run, and finally they call a timeout with 5 seconds to go. Brandon Sutherland on the stop, as well as Jeremy Chuck, number 14. And both coaches are looking concerned with 5 seconds left.
Although he didn't make the tackle, watch the penetration right here by number 36 of GAC, Eric Schultz. Slowed that play up, and that was the difference that prevented the touchdown. He doesn't get credit for the hit, but watch the penetration and the hand on the runner, allowing the other players, led by Micah Andrews, to clean up.
So nothing like coming down to the wire. 21-13 GAC with 5 seconds to go. And what a great 2-minute drill by the Bobcats.
What's the cliche? It doesn't get any better than this. We've got 5 seconds to go in an 8-point ball game in the high school semifinals in the heart of high school football in the country, Georgia.
There you go. And the fans, boy, I tell you what, they're even nervous about this thing. They're not sure how this thing's going to turn out. Now, I promise you one thing, though, they're all on their feet.
So we're at last play time.
5 seconds, 3rd and goal. Early County down by 8. And Harvin is in the shotgun. And now the referee signals a timeout for GAC.
GAC wants a timeout. They're going to freeze the offense.
Yeah, freeze the offense. Not the kicker, but the offense. So Harvin and the... And I think Coach Chupp just wanted to see how they were going to set up, and then let his defense know how to react. There you see Joel Harvin getting a much-needed drink of water on the sidelines. It's been exciting. The winner of this one plays Buford next week in the AA State Championship.
I was thinking to myself with 5 seconds to go, do you really have enough time for 2 plays if you had a well-conceived 1-step drop and a quick hitter designed?
That would be the quickest 5 seconds.
It would be a quick 5 seconds. But if you got the play off and it was designed to be something like a flanker screen, you might have enough time to squeeze in another play.
Good point. All right, the Bobcats are back on the field. There you see Joel Harvin, some of the fans in the stands. I believe this is your ball game right here, Mark. Harvin in the shotgun on 3rd and 5. 3rd and goal. Harvin rolls right. Looks for a man in the end zone. Fires left. Has a man. Touchdown, Early County. Nick George with the touchdown. George found an open spot in the end zone and said, hey, I'm open, Joel. Throw it to me.
Early County did a tricky thing there. They ran George along the baseline of the end zone from right all the way to left. He was actually, as you mentioned, waving to his quarterback that he was so far open as the play was designed to flow coming to the near side. He makes the reception, and here comes a very crucial
two-point conversion, you betcha, for the Bobcats. So Harvin's in the shotgun. This is their season right here. They either tie the game or it's all over. Harvin rolls right, looks for a receiver, throws in the end zone, tip ball in the air, loose ball, and it's called an incomplete pass, and GAC wins the AA semifinal over Early County, 21-19.
What an incredible ball game as GAC celebrates at midfield. Early County had everything they wanted. A player open in the end zone. The ball was just batted down at the last minute. But a tremendous ball game on both sides, 21-19.
Unbelievable. The Spartans and the Bobcats battled right to the very end. And it's going to be an all Gwinnett County AA final next weekend.
So, head coach Jimmy Chupp that said we're just some little old guys down here from Norcross, all of a sudden sneak into the state finals.
We have the touchdown for you one more time. This is Harvin rolling right. And as you said, Nick George in the back of the end zone doing a tightrope on the back line. Goes all the way across, catches the touchdown pass, and oh boy, a sigh of relief. But then the missed two-point conversion. As Harvin's in the shotgun, he rolls right, looking for receivers, and Mark just couldn't find one.
The closest player for Early County was number 21, Bernard George, who was trying to get the attention of his quarterback right at the goal line. But the instant that he was spotted, GAC did an excellent job of closing, getting a hand on the ball, and causing the incompletion.
So we'll have a Gwinnett County championship in AA. As I mentioned, the Buford Wolves and the Greater Atlanta Christian Spartans will battle it out next weekend. It's going to be unbelievable. And of course, remember, the Spartans' only loss this season came against the Wolves in the regular season. There you see the GAC fans celebrating for their victorious team. GAC wins it over Early County 21-19. We hope you've enjoyed our coverage of the AA Finals. We'll be right back from the Georgia Dome. Something like, hey, I hope, is Anthony going to interview guys? Is Anthony going to get an interview?
Yeah, I'm right here.
Okay, good. Make sure you mention the Chupp. Remember, he said he was just a small school from Norcross.
Okay.
Remind him of that. Remind him of that when you start off.
Okay.
Just a small school from Norcross, huh?
Okay. Go ahead, Tom. What was your last time here?
98.
I think it was, yeah, Lincoln County.
One point loss. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's it.
Don't eat that potato salad, though. That potato salad is a little iffy. It's a little iffy.
I'm getting ready to go back on, but you can stay here. Oh, I'm sorry.
So that's where he gets it from, huh?
That's the mister.
Okay. Well, I picked up half of what I know from football from my dad, from watching football in New York. So, yeah. I was born in the Bronx. Yep. Not far. 181st. That's right. Not far, yeah.
Bum, ba-dum, bum, bum.
Well, I grew up listening to Marty Glickman. Okay?
Marty used to do the... Back here at the Georgia Dome, GAC victorious over Early County 21-19. Let's go downstairs to Anthony White. Anthony.
Okay, Coach, I know you're so excited, but you all supposed to be a small team from Norcross, but you pulled this victory out.
Oh, we're just a bunch of little old guys from Norcross, though, and you know, our kids just play with great heart, and they play great defense today. You know, just overcame a deficit at halftime and played the second half, and you know, down in the defense was playing great all game, and they had a great drive down here. My hat's off to Early County. They're a great football team with a great tradition, and Coach Wolf is just a great individual. But we have a great community, and our folks were loaded up, and it was just a great feeling to come down here and win a one-pointer. But I'd like to give credit to Coach Lofton, because he called that counter pass down there. And Coach Jim Lofton is my mentor and one of my best friends in the world. And I was just proud that he was with us and we could redeem that loss in 98.
Okay, well, last time you were here in 98, you lost by 1 point. It's kind of funny that you pulled one out today by 1 point.
Well, we hope people will see that we're good for the ratings. We play good games. You know, you never want it to be a one-point game, but we set out early in this year that we were going to play great defense, and we were going to try to win games by 1 point, and so I'll take this one.
Okay, Coach, take me back. What was it like for you to watch Early County drive up and down the field with 2 minutes left in the game?
After our last 2 games, it was really just some more of the same stuff. We played a heartbreaker right down there at Calhoun. It was down at the last second, and last week at Charlton County last second. So for it to be this way, it was kind of fitting that it was another last-second game.
Okay, tough Buford team next week. How are you going to prepare for that?
Well, first of all, we're going to celebrate the victory today and enjoy the opportunities that we have and that we've been blessed with. The Lord has blessed us greatly. And then we'll start preparing for Buford. They're our good friends. They know all about us, and we know all about them. Coaching against Dexter Wood is a great challenge. I've done it twice, and he has whipped me twice. But I'm gonna fight back and try to get ready. And our coaches will work hard, and our players will be ready to go next week.
Okay, well, Coach, go ahead and celebrate with your team. Congratulations.
Thank you a lot.
Back upstairs to you guys.
Good job, Anthony White. There you see your final once again. GAC wins it over Early County 21-19. Anthony White, an excellent job all day long up and down the sidelines for us here on GPTV. For Mark Lassiter, I'm Jim Ginocchio, and for Anthony White and our entire technical crew here at the Georgia Dome, thanks for watching the AA semifinal. The AAA semifinal game kicks off in about 24 minutes from now. Screven County and Gainesville, the Gamecocks and the Red Elephants coming at you next on GPTV.
This broadcast of the 2002 GHSA football semifinals has been provided in part by IBEW Local 613, Georgia Electric Membership Corporations, South Trust Bank, Dodge, the Governor's Office of Highway Safety, and by the Atlanta Journal-Constitution.